slowly that voice goes away, Rapid away, you got to pray for yourself as well as for everybody
I did
else.
not. I did not. I did not support him
Never
the
stop
entire
being
time.
a dad.
I did not. When they lost
Find
5
out
games
more
in a
at
row, did not make the
fatherhood.gov.
Big Ten tournament,
Brought
I
to
go,
you by
what
the
the
U.S.
fuck are we
Department of
doing
Health
here?
and Human Services.
I was wrong.
KOZ and Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
I had no idea.
It's
I had no idea.
1620, The Zone.
Who would say that? Crossed him over. Dempsey was another victim to the crossovers. Crossed him up and sent him down.
It is time for the crossover featuring Matt Josh. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Sup? What's going on?
Congratulations on getting your T-shirt and your hat.
I haven't received it yet, and we know that the receiving is really the hardest part.
Yes, the ordering is
Particularly
easy.
for you right
It's
now.
not so much the holding. It's not so much the ordering. It's the receiving.
Anybody can order anything from NFL.com.
Now you got it.
So,
You saw that on Instagram Reels?
I did. Yes, I did.
Nice, good.
Very much. It was one of the very few that I've seen. That and the soup guy, Which
No
I get
soup for you.
The soup
Nazi
guy?
Yeah,
Okay,
the soup
all right.
Nazi.
All right, got it.
I don't know. I get a little hesitant with the whole. Yeah, I know. I mean,
It's
that's
still before noon, so I don't know if Nazis are talked about on this show.
I-
Now,
exactly.
after 12, and particularly between 1:50 and 6 o'clock when they go off,
It's wide open.
lots of Nazi and Mr. H talk.
Yeah, I'm not into that. I don't really
I
like.
used to send Josh a text every time I would hear it, and then it was like 3 times a week, and it's like, why are you guys talking about Nazis? all the
Yeah, I don't really like talking about things that happened in 1945. I barely like talking about things that happened in 1980 or 1990 as it is. So I
No,
just
you just
feel
want
like
to watch
it's
Hagler Hearns.
yeah, kind of. That's all I really do from that era of time. But once again, like that was when Canelo and Crawford were about to fight. I was really into I want to go back and watch all the old boxing fights my grandpa used to talk about. And then they fought and Crawford won and that was done. So that was another little 3-month escapade of things that I would do that I now no longer do.
You no longer watch YouTube fights of Hagler Hearns?
Not
or-
really. Once again, I was just motivated that there was a big fight coming up. And that was kind of why I really was
I
into
remember
it.
being so just dumbfounded when you sent me this text.
I
I was
was
doing the show the next day, and
What?
he sends me the topics and all of that, and he's like, "Hey, I'm watching Hagler Hearns 2 right now on YouTube."
Well,
I'm like,
I watched Hagler Hearns 1 and then I watched Gotti Ward 2. At
Alan Hearns, the wide receiver for the Jags.
Nice.
No. That would be you guys should do guys naming dudes as a segment on your show. I know that's the least creative idea, but
we do it in our
I
own
feel like-
roundabout way.
I feel like
we're-
you guys would be the
I asked
best
Happer
show.
to name a 2012 Creighton Blue Jay bench warmer, and they got there.
I said Avery Dingman right away.
Yeah. Could you
we
name
just do it in our own way.
Could you name a 2009 Detroit Tiger outfielder? Are you that good?
Yeah, Curtis
Didn't you just say
Granderson.
Maglio
Yeah.
or Donia?
Was he gone by then?
I can
I was-
fact check you.
You might have been on the Yankees by then.
Yeah, or retired. I mean, 06 Mags was pretty.
Oh, you were talking about Maglio. you're talking about
No,
Granderson.
Granderson was 2009, right
There
on
you
the
go.
dot.
That's a little.
Yeah.
It's not a deep enough of a cut.
No, he
though.
was an all-star that year. I mean, he was only on the Yankees for 3 years, which is I feel like Curtis Granderson was on the Yankees for much longer. 4
Brandon
years.
Inge played some third,
Ooh, okay.
but I don't know if he
And
played
it's
much
too early
outfield.
for Castellanos yet.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
yeah.
And JD Martinez.
I don't know if it's way too early, but it is too early.
It's at least 3 years.
It's
too early.
easily because what Castellanos reached ARB by 2019, 2018, around that time is when he was a free agent.
That
he
sounds
got-
about right.
Because he got traded. He got traded to
I
the
think
Cubs in
I
19.
think his career started in 2012.
Inge was on the Tigers in 2009. Funny enough, he was also an All-Star in 2009.
Yeah, Brandon
Um,
Inge was good.
But he was a third
saw-
baseman and catcher.
I saw the clip the other day. This would have been around 2009 when, God, what was the guy's name? I just had it. Aaron Rowand ran into that fence in
I know that
Philadelphia,
name.
For the
Yeah.
Phillies,
and
yeah.
he screwed up his whole face, but he caught that ball. What a time! Dudes don't run into walls anymore.
What a name, by the way.
Not really. You know, we get a lot less run walling into.
Aaron Rowand, Brandon Inge, and Joe Creedy were all the same person to me.
Joe Creedy, what a pull. Dude, I found out who Joe Creedy was in 2020 watching the 2005 World Series. Like we had COVID.
He was their third baseman.
We had COVID, and my buddy Joe was like, "Hey, let's all get together and watch he had a Blu-ray DVD set of the 2005 World Series." Whoa. And it was only 4 games, right?
Horrible World Series.
And so
the Pope was there though.
Yeah, Father Bob was there, and so we watched all.
Father Bob,
Father Bob, he said my sacraments at St. Peter's. Father Bob married me. He married me at Mother Teresa Cathedral.
That was pretty good. I like.
But no, we watched it, and I watched Joe Creedy tear up the Houston Astros both on offense and defense, and I was like, this guy rocks.
Yeah,
this guy's awesome.
Joe Creedy had a sick
Jermaine guy otherworldly in that.
He was so good in that series. Dude, the White Sox back
who was
then,
the World Series MVP?
I have no idea.
Pretty sure it's Jermaine.
It might have been Scotty Potts.
I don't think Scott Podsednik won the World Series MVP.
I'm gonna put $1 on Jermaine Dye.
I like that, Schaefer. The MVP was Jermaine Dye.
He was really
the
really
ALCS MVP was Paul Konerko, which
Yeah.
would have been a better bet probably.
Quite incredible that they won that World Series without Frank Thomas. That definitely does.
Frank Thomas.
And Frank Thomas would have been like old as hell.
Yeah, but he was Sox. He was White Sox.
Sure, but
you know,
people get older.
People do get older, but I'm just saying he was Mr. White Sox.
Tadahito Iguchi went 3 of 18 in that series.
Now we got Connor in
there is box scores.
We have Connor in his alpha form.
So Aaron Rowand was a White Sox in that World Series. He was 5 for 17.
He got traded to the Phillies when they won their World Series, I think.
09.
Yeah.
Or no, the Yankees won in 09.
The Phillies won in 2007 or 2008.
8. It would have been 8, right?
8.
Yeah, 2007 was the Red Sox.
Yeah. Or was
Man,
6 was Cardinals, right?
06 Cardinals, 07 Red Sox, 08 Phillies, 09
Yankees
10, Sox 11.
No. 10 Giants.
Giants.
11.
And then
Red Sox.
Cardinals
at 11.
Cardinals at 11.
Giants,
and then Giants. And then 2013 was Red Sox. And then Giants. And then 2015 was
the
Royals.
Kansas City Royals.
And then,
the MVP, Salvador Perez.
2016 was the Cubs.
Yes.
2017 was the Astros. The Astros. 2018 Red Sox.
Yes. Sale won the MVP.
2019 Nationals. 2020 Dodgers.
Doesn't count.
They beat the stupid Rays.
2021 Braves.
Josh?
Checks out.
Okay, now I'm 22 Astros.
Yeah.
23 we get the Rangers.
Yeah, that sucked. Rangers Diamondbacks World
and then
Series
24 25 Dodgers. So we're all the way up. Caught up.
What you started at 6. You could have easily started before that because 5 was the White Sox.
Right. Yeah.
4 was the Red Sox.
Started at 5.
Who's won the 2? 2003
was the Marlins.
2002 was the
Angels.
Angels. 2001 was the Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks beat the Yankees in the greatest World
and then
Series of all time, according to some.
98.
Yankees. Yankees, 97 Marlins, 96 Yankees, 95 Braves, 94 no season, 93 Blue Jays, 92 Reds.
92
is it the Reds in 92? 91 would be the Twins.
Toronto.
Did Toronto win back-to-back 92?
I think it was Toronto.
Yeah.
I want to say Toronto. I'm going to go with Toronto.
Toronto over the Reds in 92?
Something like that.
92 was Toronto over the Braves.
Okay.
And 92.
I didn't know the Braves went to back-to-back World Series at that time. Sorry, Josh. You got it at 95 when they gave the biggest strike zone ever seen to man.
Some would say it was a totally normal strike zone.
For Tom Glavine getting both sides of the batter's box.
The only times that I've heard Mike talk about World Series that the Cleveland Guardians have lost, he mentions the strike zone for the other team.
It's egregious for left-handed pitchers known as Tom Glavine and John Lester.
Kluber got the same strike zone.
Surely did not.
Corey got the same strike zone. I don't want to hear it.
I don't
How
Or
will
what
we
you want
know?
to hear?
We got no ABS.
I'm indifferent. What you care about with hearing?
Good point.
It
That's a
doesn't
good
matter
point.
to me.
That's a good point.
So Joe Creedy and Aaron Rowan, but not Brandon Inge, were all on the 2005 White Sox.
Did you guys? Oh, never mind. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Keep going. What, Josh?
I was going to say, did you know that Deion Sanders got the most hits in the 1992 World Series? But then I found somebody who had more. Pat Borders of the Blue Jays.
Nice.
Pat Border sounds like a first baseman.
He's a catcher.
I told you guys the first MLB,
Either or at that
Yeah.
point. You know,
He's
Pat.
probably a catcher first baseman.
Yeah,
man.
probably.
the first MLB game I ever went to featured Deion Sanders hitting leadoff for the Braves in 1994 at Shea Stadium.
Mine was 94 as well, but at Kauffman.
This is how you know I'm a middle child. My brother.
What year was your first MLB game?
I have no idea. So my brother, his first Cubs game, like they have pictures of it. They have a framed like collage of pictures from it. They have the tickets like from my brother's first Cubs game. They have the box score from my like everything, right? And they have it hanging up in his room. And my sister has the same like certificate and what game, what date, like all that stuff. My dad has no idea what my first Cubs game was. I think they played the Rockies. Other than that, I have no clue.
So I just have there's just the ticket stub in an old box that I found 2 years ago on my birthday. And it's, you can see that the ticket stub is ripped, which is just, man, that just brings it back. But May 14th, 1994.
That's awesome.
Mets Braves.
So
at
you went to a
Shea.
game before I did because mine was June that year. The reason I remember mine was the first baseball game I ever went to. The same weekend, O.J. Simpson killed Ronald Goldman and Nicole Simpson.
Nice.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
They never found the killer.
That is true.
So you went to a Mariners
I was at
Royals
the Mariners
game
Royals game. So
the day before the OJ thing?
So both days for Friday and Saturday.
That's
we were at the game.
awesome.
So
Because part of the OJ thing was that Griffey hit three home runs.
Yeah, the June
And
17th.
so,
yeah.
that documentary, and it's like, yeah, I was at that game. Oh, I
Really?
remember.
Hey, I don't, that's awesome.
I don't remember any of the game.
Yeah.
This is the only memory I have of the first baseball game I ever went to. Is that it's the first time in my life I had ever gotten a frozen malt cup, and you have those wooden spoons.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is the greatest thing that I have ever had in the 7 years of existence, 6 at that point, that I had ever, that's what I remember.
If they ever, I haven't seen them in years. I haven't seen them in years, but if I saw like the little lemon ice that also comes with the wooden spoon,
sell them.
I haven't seen them at a Cubs game in years, but if I were to see them, I would buy one immediately.
They definitely sell the malt cups at Hy-Vee.
They got them at the zoo. I had one at the zoo.
You had one at the zoo?
Yeah. The frozen lemonades.
Matt loves the zoo. I don't know if you knew this.
I haven't been. Well, I got plantar fasciitis, and I kind of put a wrench in all
you
my
got
zoo
mad at
going.
Chuck Klosterman.
Then I did get mad at Chuck Klosterman. I listened to a lot of that book at the zoo, and then it got hot. It got so hot, and I'm like, I don't want to go to the zoo when it's 99 degrees.
Anymore.
I should go soon.
This would be a pretty good zoo day.
It actually would be a pretty good zoo day.
Take a
But
stroll.
I have to clean. I got a lot of cleaning to do. I have a lot of things.
Is Thursday your cleaning day?
Yeah, kind of. Well, Dan's been holding up the washer and dryer for the entire week, and he, his bum butt,
Dan. You're better
his
than
bum
this.
butt finally got everything out, and everything's
At what point do you
cleared.
take the clothes out of the dryer and just set them on their bed.
I never do that. It would be incredibly hypocritical if I were to do that because I am terrible at taking my clothes out of the dryer. Dan has done it before. Dan knows he can do it. I wouldn't do such a thing to Dan. The problem is that Dan kept all his stuff in the washer. And so it's
So you
like,
got to rewash it because
exactly. But I'm not going to be the one to, I'm not going to touch your laundry. I'm not going to put the detergent in there for you. I'm not going to, I don't know what setting that you want or anything like that.
you can just put it in the tub.
But I also don't want to be, I don't want to be that guy that's like, hey, Dan, do your laundry. So I
I
have
think
to.
Dan needs that right now.
Real passive
Right
aggressive.
now, you're the guy who's
like-
passive aggressively telling everyone in Dan's life that listens to this show.
I very
that
non.
Dan walks around with clothes that have sat in the washing machine for multiple
This
days.
is the only time that he's done it, and very non-confrontational yesterday. I said, hey, could you do this stuff? And he did it. So now we're clear. Now we're ready to go.
So
today.
cleaning is really you just need to do your laundry.
Laundry. I got to hang up more things in my room, and then I also have to clean up the
How
kitchen.
many clothing items are laying on the floor in your room right now?
Probably an egregious amount.
Is it above 15?
Oh, it's in a pile. I mean, it's way above 15. It's to the point where I can't tell you
Is
how
it
many.
above 30?
Could possibly
Do you have 30 clothing items sitting on your floor right now?
Well, they're in a hamper, but yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
Are they in the process of needing to be folded?
no.
These need to be hung up?
No, these need to be cleaned.
Okay, so that's being in a hamper. Is it the same as being on the floor?
There's a couple of them on the floor.
Okay.
There's definitely upwards of 15 on the floor, plus some of the hamper.
Now the truth is coming.
I always give you
The
the
hamper
truth.
has less
I
clothes in it.
always give you the truth. Eventually.
I had to ask the right questions.
What are you looking at? The box score?
Oh, Bigelow sent me the first game he went to and the starting lineups from it, and I was just remembering guys. I didn't care about whatever conversation you guys were having.
I figured. We put 2 and 2. We had
When
our.
you're not involved, you check out.
Yeah,
really fast.
we had our little moment for a second, and then I'd like to get back to you. I did just text my family group chat. Do either of you remember my first Cubs game? Which I'm going to get no, and they are going to be incredibly embarrassed because they know the steps.
Nobody remembers my first Nebraska game. It's just decided that it was probably Kansas at some point in time.
Yeah.
And I went to a spring game before it.
I think mine was a Utah State game.
I went to a lot of Utah State games.
There was like 4 Utah State games. I can never remember
was at
which
all of
one.
them.
I was at one of the Utah State
Baylor
games.
was the other ticket that we would end up with a lot of. Utah State and Baylor. I saw those.
Just like other people's season tickets that didn't
Basically,
want to
yeah.
go. Yeah, same. Okay, I guess you could take the kid from down the street.
I had access to like one good game ever, and I skipped
I
it.
never thought of my first college football game. I think it might be Michigan Notre Dame.
It'd be wild because you were probably one of 6 people at Ryan Field.
My first Northwestern game was when they played Minnesota in like 2013 or 2014. It was in the stretch where they won it was one of their best seasons they've ever had, and they beat them like 28-0. They kicked their butts.
Wow. So it'd been Kane Coulter.
No, I think this would have been Thorson and Jackson
would have been 15.
I forget. It's either Coulter or Thorson. But Justin Jackson
'Cause I think
ran
it
the
was
ball
Kane Coulter all the
37
way through
times.
14 because there was always the Kane Coulter, Kenny Bell stories.
It's either Coulter or Thorson, and it was all I remember was because Jackson. They give like every single play was Justin Jackson, the ball carrier.
They did have the ball a lot.
But I think my first college football game was Notre Dame, Michigan with Denard Robinson, who ran for like 200 yards at Notre Dame Stadium, and it was still one of the greatest individual performances I've ever seen in my life. That would have been like 2011, 2012, around that time when he went crazy.
I'd say that's probably about right for Denard. And then Devin Gardner was after him.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of terrible quarterbacks were after him.
Do you have a bad vibes college football team this year?
I haven't thought about it. Not yet.
You were going to give us yours. It was 2015. It was the game you went to.
The Minnesota
27-0 Northwestern over Minnesota.
kicked their ass.
Oh, look up the box score if ESPN allows.
They were so good that year.
Mitch Leidner, starting quarterback for Minnesota that day.
My pitch was going to be the Baltimore Ravens.
I think I offended Mitch Leidner one time.
How'd you offend Mitch Leidner?
He laughed about him being a potential first-round draft pick.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I went to Big Ten Media Days and the joke, it wasn't a joke, but going into the season, someone had projected him as a first-round draft pick.
It was Todd McShay.
And so me and the people that I worked with would just laugh about this. Mitch Leidner, a first-round draft pick. And then I went to Media Days, and Mitch Leidner was sitting there, and just like I didn't even think about it. I just said it. It just blurted out.
Oh no,
Mitch Leidner, first-round draft pick.
Oh no,
I just said it. I said it right to his face.
Oh no, that's so good.
And I just buzzed away. I was like, I'm getting out of here. That was a mistake.
That's so good.
That was a mistake.
That's incredible.
I feel bad about it.
The box score of this game that Matt attended is
atrocious.
127 yards passing for Clayton Thorson.
Yeah.
He had 2 touchdowns running on 11 carries for 24 yards.
Yeah.
Demery Croft made an appearance for Minnesota.
One-time killer of Nebraska.
Yeah. Christian
and then
Jones
one-time
was the leading
tight
receiver.
end at North Texas the next year.
I'm pretty sure Sherrick McManus was playing for the Wildcats at that point. He actually would have been before that.
Yeah, I don't see that name.
He would have been
there's
before that.
defensive stats for him.
The first ever college football game I went to, Denard Robinson threw for 244 yards and he he threw for 244 yards and he ran for 258.
That's cold.
That's pretty good.
Michigan beat Notre Dame 28-24 in 2010 at South Bend.
That's a lot of yards.
Is it Charlie Weiss?
I don't know.
No, that's Brian Kelly at that point.
Probably Brian Kelly.
Probably not Charlie Weiss.
Probably not Charlie Weiss. But that was a good time. My mother is claiming that she has a picture of me at my first Cubs game.
You didn't go to any Tyrone Willingham games?
No.
Why not?
I
didn't support him?
That was my favorite.
No.
You just pop in.
I'm
with
just
these.
working my way around the table this week.
I haven't gotten a pot shot yet from
like
Hodgson.
the,
That was
You
coming.
heard that, Matt? You're a racist.
It's the Grim Reaper knocking on the door. The first door is me. Second door is Matt.
Hodgson's trying to collapse his entire radio station. He's trying to get every host that he oversees canceled. It's an incredible strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him.
What did your mom say now?
I don't believe my mom. I don't believe
who
her.
are you going to believe?
Wow.
If you don't believe your mom.
That's a great point. She goes, yes, I do. I will send you a picture. It's up in the kitchen. I go, what? She goes, you were 5. It was 2007. I said,
She's got details. She wins.
I was like, you have it? She goes, I have the picture. I will be home in 5 minutes and we'll send it.
All
That
right.
was 5 minutes ago.
We got to stay on here for 5 minutes at least.
I believe it was a Colorado Rockies game, if I'm not
All right.
mistaken.
Well, that makes it a lot easier.
Because I'm pretty sure, because I remember there was an old lady who used to camp out at Murphy's Bleachers in Wrigley Field. She has passed. I don't know her name, but may
Dead.
she rest in peace. And she used to, if you know Murphy's Bleachers, you know that all the way in the back.
What was the weather like?
It was a sunny day.
Okay, but was it hot, cold?
The sun was out. I don't really remember. This was
The Cubs Rockies played in June 2007.
Correct. June 25th, 26th, 27th.
There is a picture. She used to, the woman in the back of Murphy's Bleachers, she would like do a little. She
drew one of me.
Drew pic. Oh, okay,
Bruns paid for it.
It's incredible. It was like a tradition that you did. So there's that. I don't know where that went, but that is somewhere, and that is from my first game. So
It could have been on Monday, June 25th, or Tuesday, June 26th, or Wednesday, June 27th.
it was definitely in the summer. I remember it being in the summer.
Okay, now we're getting close. I mean, if it was against the Rockies, it was one of those 3 days.
It was totally
If
in the
your mom
summer.
is correct.
Because I remember that I went back home to my abuela's house and all of my cousins were playing on her side lawn. And like I came back and like Dad, and I was kind of like,
This was probably
in
back
and
in the
out.
day, too, where if she has the picture, the date is just going to be in the
oh,
corner.
it would probably be in the right-hand corner.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
You're totally correct.
which is such a huge
And
help.
it's up in your kitchen, but you claim it doesn't exist.
It's not up in my kitchen. She's not.
Well, not your
she's,
kitchen.
Get
There.
up in my kitchen. Sit up in my kitchen. Wow.
I just texted her waiting for the picture on the radio.
We will hold this crossover.
I'll hold this whole damn station up. I don't care.
I will tell you that the next game that I remember going to was in 2011. Albert Pujols hit 3 home runs at Wrigley
Whoa,
Field.
You
against,
waited 4 years?
That's the next Cubs memory I have is
Wow.
Pujols hitting 3 home runs against the Cubs in 2011 against Ryan Dempster. Dempster was the starting pitcher. And then my next memory after that was we went to opening day, April 5th, 2012. It was my 10th birthday. Cubs played the Washington Nationals. Cubs lost. Those are my first 3 Chicago Cubs memories.
nice.
They were then met with this team sucks, and the only good player is Starlin Castro, and then quickly followed up by we won a World Series.
Well, in 2007, the Cubs won the division. They got swept out by the Diamondbacks in the first round, but
And then the Diamondbacks would lose to those Colorado Rockies in the NLCS.
Whoa.
I went to
October.
the 2008 playoff game between the Cubs and the Dodgers. I think it was 2008 NLDS Cubs versus Dodgers.
Nice.
I went to one of those games and I sat in the Bartman seats.
Oh, look at this
So
general
if you went
manager
to the
Jim Hendry.
2008 playoff game.
I
that
forget.
would have been before.
I forget.
the
I forgot.
Pujols
I
one.
forgot. I forgot I went to the 2008 playoff game. My dad has a 2008 World Series ticket. Like, you know, they send season ticket holders the full sheet
Yep.
of playoff tickets.
Yep.
So he has a 2008 Chicago Cubs World Series ticket.
I
framed.
have a game 7 of the 2015 ALCS, which didn't happen. ticket.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, the Royals gave it to me for some reason. We went there and they were like, "Here, we have a bunch of these. Take one."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you were at the game. So you were
I was at a
leaving
game like the next year, and they were like, "This would have been the ticket for Game 7 of the 2015 ALCS, which didn't happen."
You know, in like 15 years, you could tell somebody.
People forget they won in 6.
You could tell somebody in 15 years they actually won in 7, and you went to the game.
No, I would tell them they won in 6 because Lorenzo Cain scored from first on an Eric Hosmer
You should go to Pawn Stars and just make them bring out their expert to tell them that.
That would be funny, actually.
All right, I have said picture.
Okay. Does it have a date on it?
No, it does not.
Look at that little boy. This is so.
What does his
cool.
mustache look like?
Look at Wrigley too. Wrigley's looking old. It looks a lot newer now than it did in 2007.
My mother. Is there a date? Is there a date?
It looks like a night game. Does it not?
I don't know. It just might be crappy 2007 picturing, if I'm being honest.
Whoa.
Okay, we could eliminate one game if it is a night game.
Wow,
I know,
so much
right?
Hope and
Which
promise.
game goes out if it's
and
a
then
night
you
game?
look like this.
I know.
June 27th.
All right, so it either
That
was
kid
Monday.
didn't hate baseball as much as the 24-year-old in front of me.
I'm pretty sure I have like a dirt mark on my right cheek.
Yeah, I
which is
wondered
like,
what that was.
Which is it checks out.
Did you get in a fight? Was there a hockey scrap that occurred the day before?
No. I had a bad run of black eyes when I was like 5 to 8. Like I was always getting one. Trampolines and pools.
So we
and
have to
fights with
decide.
brothers.
We have to decide which game this was. I'm just going to go ahead and make an executive decision and say it was June 25th, 2007.
That game sounds very exciting.
All I want to do is talk about the lineups and the pitchers and things like that. We had Rockies, Cubs, which ended up being 2 playoff teams, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Francis against Jason Marquis.
There are some 2000 baseball games.
The Rockies lineup was Willie Taveras, Kaz Matsui, Matt Holliday, Todd Helton, Garrett Adkins, Brad Hopp, Troy Tulowitzki, Yorvit Torrealba, and then Jeff Francis pitched. The Cubs had Alfonso Soriano, Mike Fontenot, Derek Lee, Ramos Ramirez, Mark DeRosa, who was later pinch run for by Felix P.A., Angel Pagan, Rob Bowen, who was later pinch run for by Jock Jones, who I forgot was a Cub. Cesar Torres played short, and Jason Marquis pitched. Ryan Terrio later played some short.
I think the deepest cut in there for me is
Yorvit Torrealba.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Cesar Torres. So
yeah, it's a good one.
I would never have thought of the name Cesar Torres without this box score.
In that game, the Cubs were up 8-3, excuse me. Gave up 6 runs in the top of the 9th.
Damn bullpen.
Scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th to win 10-9.
Yeah, Bob Howery gave it up. Blew it. So did Scott Air. Scott Air had a bad day.
Was that the? Hey, that might have been a famous walk-off game.
The famous walk-off game.
It was a pretty famous Colorado Rocky walk-off game that I'm pretty sure I was at.
Well,
I don't remember.
I would imagine it was this one.
I don't remember.
Alfonso Soriano single to center field.
Famously.
That's not that one. No, there's a homer. There's a home run to walk off the Rockies that I think I was at. Almost positive.
Okay.
There.
Well,
not that one. It might have been a different one. I don't know.
It had to have been the next day. That could have
might have been that, but I don't know. Now my memories are all foggy. Everything's getting jumbled together now. All the Cubs memories.
This is why Happer has his document.
This is why I have my document.
My mother, I said, "Is there a date?" My mother responded, "I have to dig deeper."
Dig deeper.
Dig deep, Mom.
We need to know.
We will take a break.
We need to talk about more names.
Yes.
We need to talk
about
my
job, Mother. Dig.
Willie Taveras more.
Boys, this was fun as always. I feel like this is your guys' element when I can just get you talking about 2000s baseball and we can dig into box scores.
I love guys and dudes.
That's the crossover. Middays with Mac coming up next here on 1620 Zone.
Clip that.
You feel the juice?
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people. Whose car are we gonna take?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
That's an absolutely horse crap call.
Make room for Daddy. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Chicago is.
This is Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays, Matt, live and rolling here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network. We have an update in terms of when did I go to my first ever Cubs game.
Oh, okay. This is huge.
My mother is texting me. She said, I am sorry, buddy. You are the middle child. You are not as well documented. You are lucky I have a picture of it. That was a text sent to me by my mother.
Appreciate the honesty, but that's not what we wanted to hear.
We will never know. I went to a game in 2007. I think it was against the Rockies. All right. And now you ask, Matt, why don't you like baseball? I'm kidding. I like baseball. I just don't love baseball. I just don't, I'm not as obsessed about it as you guys are.
You should be obsessed with it this week. Your team has done quite well this week.
So they are, I was looking up the stat. The Cubs are historically one of the best defenses in baseball right now. They are like 26 runs above or runs saved above average. They're 26 points higher than the second team in the league. They have been absolutely dynamite defensively this season. And now they're just getting a lot of pitchers, this is Jed at his finest. He goes, you know what? We're going to stack our infield and have very serviceable catcher play between Amaya and Carson Kelly, and then have a stud outfield as well, with PCA being the best defender in the game, Hap getting a Gold Glove probably this season and left, and then Say has improved immensely in right field. Jed has just decided, all right, we're going to get a lot of pitchers that have high ground ball rates. Like, that's just what we're going to do. We're just going to get pitchers do they blow stuff by guys? No, not really. Are they high K guys? No, not necessarily. But we know if the ball's put on the ground, we have vacuums at shortstop, second base, and third base, and a very good first baseman in Michael Busch. It's been they know what they're doing. They are a complete baseball team. They have PCA, who, once again, we kind of iterated it yesterday, or said it yesterday, before he ended up hitting 2 home runs in the final game of the Dodgers series, in which the Cubs won 7-6. Good comeback by the Dodgers, but the Cubs get the sweep regardless. If it weren't for Shohei Ohtani being one of the best baseball players of all time, PCA would be your MVP this season in the NL. That's how good he's been. I mean, and by the way, he's done this all with a terrible start. I mean, he was not good to begin the year. I mean, to start the season, he was batting 7th, 8th for the Cubs until eventually he kind of changed up his swing a little bit, put his feet closer together, got more of a load up exploding in the box towards the pitch, and now he's batting leadoff and absolutely killing it for the Cubs, who they're creeping up on the Brewers ever so slightly, separating themselves from the NL wild card pack, whilst also trying to win the division from those son of a gun Milwaukee Brewers, who I can't stand, who are also an incredibly well-run organization, but decided not to go all in and trade for Tarek Skubal, which, once again, not to be the guy, like, I'm biased towards the Brewers. Let's just call a spade. I am, in comparison to all the other baseball that is watched here, I'm on the lesser side, but I will never not hate on the Brewers. If not now, when for Milwaukee, right? Like, if you're not going to go all in now, and I understand the value of prospects for them because of, the fact they're a smaller market without a salary cap, those 6 years of control are so valuable to a organization like the Brewers. Like, I get it, but if you're not going to put your chips in the middle now and get Tarek Skubal and make teams play Skubal and Mizorowski 4 times in a 7-game series, my question is when? Like, when would you do that? Like, what is the perfect? I feel like Connor Happer would be better to talk about this, topic, because he's a fan of a small market team. If you are a small market team who you're not going to go out and make big splashes in free agency, what is the like waiting around for the most perfect and ideal opportunity is a fairy tale. It just doesn't happen. That's the thing that I think gets lost in terms of the salary. Like, we always talk about the salary cap or the non-existence of the salary cap and the advantages of big market teams, right? We talk about them in terms of, oh, they can buy the best players, they can buy the star players. And yeah, that's correct in that thinking, right? The very baseline vanilla thinking of, oh, they can just buy the best players. That's correct. But what the advantage of being able to spend more money just means that your margin for error is much higher, is much, much larger than a margin of error for a smaller market team. Because you know what? Hey, if the Los Angeles Dodgers make a bad investment in Kyle Tucker, they got plenty of other money to splurge on other guys and top dudes and go and pay them, and they can make up for maybe what they're lacking in terms of that investment. And that goes top down from the Braves to the Red Sox to the Yankees to the Cubs to the Phillies in terms of, yeah, if you miss out on a Jason Hayward, don't worry. You can go in, you can buy another big player, you can buy another big pitcher, and it can make up for the loss in terms of that investment. You can't do that if you're the Brewers or the Rays or the Marlins or the Royals. When you make a big swing, you got to make sure that you hit on it, because you may not be able to make another swing. But my thing with the Brewers is, this was their moment. That was their moment to really do it and put themselves in the driving seat in terms of the NL and give themselves a massive advantage when it comes to series play, and they passed up on it. And the Cubs had a phenomenal trade deadline. First time in 10 years that they needed to do specific things. They needed to get an outfielder that could hit left-handed pitching. They needed to get more help in the bullpen. They needed to get a starter who was going to play a lot of games, which that's what Kevin Gausman has done. I think he's pitched the most innings or started the most games or something like that in the MLB. They did exactly what they needed to do. Turned out being a sweep for them.
Brewers essentially standing pat at the trade deadline. They do have the best record in the sport.
They do. And I'm just saying, they have the best record in the sport. They have 5 top 100 prospects to boot with that. Could have used those prospects to give themselves an insane. It's not about records anymore for the Brewers, right? I mean, it's more so about when you get to the playoffs, who you trotted out there, and how do you make it as difficult as possible for a team to win against you 3 times or a team to win against you 4 times. Do you know what would be really difficult? Do you know what would be insane to do? Beat, Mizorowski and Skubal 4 times. That seems almost not impossible.
Sounds very difficult.
Sounds very difficult to do. They decide not to do it. The Dodgers did. Once again, the Dodgers have the advantage of prospects aren't as important to them as the Brewers are, because they can sign players to massive contracts, right? But I don't think enough is ever said about the Dodgers. Like, we always talk about the Dodgers the wrong way, in my opinion. Not everybody, but a good amount of people talk about the Dodgers as if they're this evil empire that all they do is just blow money. Oh, they just buy everything. No, they got 9 top 100 prospects, right? 5 of their top 100 prospects either came from draft picks or trading with other teams, right? The number 25 prospect in the MLB that they traded, Hope. They traded him for Skubal. That's a guy they got in the Michael Busch trade.
They traded Hope.
No, they gained Hope by getting Derek Skubal. Not that they needed more of it. Speaking about Hope, a lot of NFL fan bases have it right now, unless you're the San Francisco 49ers, where because of that electric substation and all of the injuries that you suffered, you probably don't have a ton of hope. But other than them and the Arizona Cardinals, the NFL fan bases have hope, and tonight we have an NFL football game.
Tonight's your night if you're a Cardinals fan. I mean, this is as good as it's going to be for the entire year if you root for the Cardinals.
I don't know about that. Have you seen the video of the Arizona Cardinals training camp? Have you seen the lowlights?
You told me to.
We will play it later. So if you haven't seen it now, we're going to play it later on the stream. Thanks to Connor Happer, who allowed us or who helped us when it came to making sure we have that. We have some videos to play for you today. We're going to continue to talk about baseball because the New York Mets. I might have my oldest man take of all time today.
Let's go.
I might have an old man take.
Welcome to the Pantheon.
I know. I get celebrating homers. Celebrating strikeouts is a little bit in the manner in which this New York Mets pitcher did it. was a little bit too much to me. We'll talk about that later in the show. We'll talk about the Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals. Hall of Fame game tonight in Canton, Ohio. Should be a good time. I will be watching it tonight. Probably end up betting the under. I don't know if I'll have a dog of the day for the Hall of Fame game. Kenny Pickett will be starting for the Carolina Panthers. Who cares? It is a Thursday, by the way. And Carson Beck will be starting for the Arizona Cardinals. I care about that. I think Carson Beck was actually a very, very sneaky pick by the Arizona Cardinals. And I think that there's a lot to be said about Beck and how his career ended at Georgia was not ideal. And then also there's a lot of, the off the field stuff in terms of, the rumors and how people felt about him and all that type of stuff. But guy was awesome for Miami last season. And, when we talked to Michael Severe and we talked about the whole, the Bill Parcells rules in terms of you have to have these amount of starts. You have to be a graduate. You have to be a senior. You have to have had a winning percentage of this much. He checks a lot of those boxes in terms of the experience that you'd like to see from college football quarterbacks coming into the NFL. And he's got a good arm and he's a pretty quick decision maker. It's just, is he that athlete that we love? Is he that, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, think on your feet, super improviser type it's quarterback? No, not really. He's if we're on the scale of modern quarterbacks versus traditional quarterbacks, and your traditional quarterbacks being more so your pocket passers, Beck is probably closer to a pocket passer than he is that modern super athlete. But going to be interesting to see what he does tonight and what he does this season. I think a lot of people have made the fun little how many games until Fernando Mendoza starts, right? How many games until he's starting for the Vegas Raiders? Tom Pelissero, who's since been let go by ESPN, said a couple weeks ago that he would be shocked if Kirk Cousins was not the week 1 starter for the Las Vegas Raiders before training camp happened. We haven't gotten any updates in terms of what that might look like. If that is still going to be the case and trending that way. I think a more fun game would be, when is Carson Beck starting for the Arizona Cardinals? Jacoby Brissett going to be the starter for the Cardinals. He had one of the best holdouts ever. I love Jacoby's holdout. Be like, oh, I'm the starter now? Yeah, I'm not showing up. You got to pay me like a starter if I'm going to be your transitional candidate before you go ahead and you draft one of these 2027 quarterbacks. That'll be a fun game. How many games until Carson Beck ends up starting? I'd give it about 9. I'd say the 10th game of the year is when Beck starts for the first time this season.
Normally, you look at when their bye is. Their bye is in week 14.
Oh, my God.
This team.
That is awful.
Oh, my.
Can you read the Cardinals schedule for me real quick? Let's just have some fun.
At the Chargers.
Loss.
Versus the Seahawks.
Loss.
At the Niners.
Loss. What a brutal 3-week start. Keep going.
At the Giants.
Ooh.
That's a long trip.
Loss.
Versus the Lions.
Loss.
At the Rams.
Loss.
Versus the Broncos.
Oh, what is the schedule? Loss.
At the Cowboys.
Loss again.
At the Seahawks.
Loss.
Versus the Rams.
Loss.
At the Chiefs.
Loss.
Versus the Commanders.
Win.
Versus the Eagles.
Loss.
Versus the Jets.
Win.
At the Saints.
Loss.
Versus the Raiders.
Loss.
That week 17 game against the Raiders, I'll bet that's for the number 1 draft pick.
I bet it is. Yeah, I'll say loss.
Last week of the season versus the Niners.
Yeah, loss.
Okay, I think you only said win twice.
2-16.
Yeah, which I believe is what Sports Illustrated has them going.
Yeah, I don't think they'll win that last game against the Raiders because I think Mendoza just won't let that happen. Like I think you cannot tell Fernando, hey, let's let up here. I think he's gonna try his very best to win that game. So I would say they're a terrible team. And yet they drafted a running back with the 3rd overall pick.
Best available.
Speaking about running backs, Jonathan Taylor signed a 2-year extension today. So we've been waiting on specific running back extensions. We got Bijan's. We haven't gotten Jahmyr Gibbs yet, but Jonathan Taylor gets a 2-year extension. I'd love to know the amount of money that Wisconsin running backs have made in the league over the last couple of seasons. Probably not as much as I'm thinking it is, but regardless, the running back market Definitely not in tow with the wide receiver market. Wide receivers still getting way more money per year and getting more years with it. The longer I think about it, the less I like the Zay Flowers extension. I just don't know if you can pay a wide receiver that much money when he doesn't have as much touchdown input as he does. He's just not. He had 4 touchdowns last season. He had 5 touchdowns last season, 4 touchdowns a year before, 5 touchdowns a year before that. Don't get me wrong. He's had about 2,300 yards over the last 2 seasons in terms of receiving yards. And, he's pretty close to being a 100 reception guy a year. It's just like, he's 5'9", 183 pounds. You read the reports. That's a very generous 5'9". He's probably closer to 5'8". He's clearly not a red zone threat. And I'm not calling Zay Flowers bad. There is a, without a doubt, he's one of the better, just overall wide receivers in the league. $35 million. Like, if I'm paying you $35 million a year, I better be able to use you in every single part of the field. Like, I better be able to go to you in any single situation that exists on a football field. And I know that you're going to come out on top. And to pay a guy $35 million and not know, is he really that big of a red zone threat? Now, they can be creative with him in terms of what they do with him in the red zone. From a rushing perspective, right? He's had 2 rushing touchdowns in his career, but $35 million it's a lot. If I gave you the option, you want to pay $22 million a year for Bijan Robinson or $35 million a year for Zay Flowers, what are you taking? Yeah, I'll take Bijan every single day of the week, every single time. So anyway, that was our little NFL talk. We're going to have a fun little Tim Verghese day. Tim Verghese won't be on our show, but Timmy V has been pushing out publications, pushing out articles like it's nothing, baby. He's been putting out some incredible content. He wrote an article yesterday, his 3 players to buy stock in. Spoiler alert for people who listen to Middays with Matt regularly. 2 of these guys we have already talked about this year. 2 of these guys I've already been very high on. And one guy who I have not talked about on the show, but every time I talk to people who are very much in the know about this team, they bring up this defensive lineman. I'll tell you what the lineman it is. And for some of you, it might be surprising. For others, it will not be. So we'll talk about Tim Verghese, three players to buy into. We'll also talk about an Ahmad Hudson update. Been multiple updates on Ahmad Hudson and his recruitment. And apparently somebody isn't pulling their weight at Louisiana State University. Somebody isn't doing what they need to do, according to Ahmad. So we will talk about Mr. Hudson, the number 1 tight end in the country that Nebraska is still most definitely in play for in terms of getting their commitment. It's going to come down to signing day. It seems like all updates indicate across recruiting sources. We'll continue to talk about the Carolina Panthers. We're done talking about the Cardinals. I don't care about the Cardinals. They're going to be terrible. They might go 2-16. Don't draft any Cardinals for fantasy football this year. That's my tip to you. Okay. By the way, I talked to Potsy today. Potsy, my fantasy football guy. I talked to Potsy. Potsy and I were talking today. Talking about Christian McCaffrey's draft value. It's a tough thing to gauge. Typically, when you have that many touches in one season, you don't have. There's that regression in terms of the wear and tear, especially a guy that has an injury history like that. But if you're telling me that you're going to get the production that he got out of CMC last year, this year, how do you not draft him?
Is he the only guy healthy to produce? But he has an injury history.
At this point, I don't know who's catching. I don't know who's catching passes for the San Francisco 49ers. And here's the scarier part. We don't even know if Kyle Shanahan's going to be fully ready to call plays heading into the season too. The car crash, whole storyline of 49ers training camp is a insane wrench to be thrown into that.
Interesting you called it a storyline and not a news thing that happened.
No. It's a storyline. We'll talk about quarterbacks. The Athletic has released multiple great articles this week, one of them being their quarterback rankings. We're not going to go through all the tiers of the quarterbacks. That would be a bore and take too long. But I want to talk about a couple of quarterbacks that I think are at a crossroads this year and could have very interesting seasons, along with some other athletic articles that were released today. One talking about 2027 high school basketball recruiting, and the other one talking about college football spending tiers. The Athletic tiered a bunch of different colleges today in terms of how much they spent on their football rosters. Where did Nebraska end up on that tier list? We'll talk about that today. We have a lot of things to cover.
And guests.
Steve Sipple will not be joining us at 11 o'clock today. He's got things that he's got to take care of. But at 1 o'clock, we'll be joined of Ryan Fowler, 100.9 The Tide, because we're doing buy, sell, hold, or bet today at 12:40. Auburn and Alabama. We'll talk to Ryan Fowler about the Crimson Tide and what their outlook is on this season in Tuscaloosa. And at 1:20, Andy Kendeigh of KETV will join us to talk all things local here on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network. We have one heck of a show for you today. John Party is here on Middays with Matt. Going to be a partay here on the airwaves on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network.
Good luck with that, Dan.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
We're doing buy, sell, hold, or bet today at around 12:40. So diving into the Auburn Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide, two teams on very different sides of the aisle in terms of their expectations of this season. New head coach for Auburn, Kalen DeBoer, entering, God, this is year 3, right, of DeBoer at this point?
Is it? Wow.
I think it's year 3. Time flies. But regardless, we will talk about those two teams today, but I'm kind of diving in right now to my Pick 6 preview, written by Brett Ciancia, who will be a regular guest on our show every Friday at 12 o'clock during the college football season. We're going to have a treat for you this season when it comes to regular guests during the year. We're going to have Connor Onion, who on the Big Ten Network, obviously, but got promoted to the second top broadcasting group with Fox for college football games next season. He'll be with Robert Griffin III. He will be a regular guest, talking mainly Big Ten football on Mondays, and then we'll have Brett on Fridays. We'll also have Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports Plus, our gambling guy, join us on Thursday to give you some of his top picks for the weekend in both college football and the NFL. So I've had a lot of discussions with those three men when it comes to them coming on Middays with Matt regularly during the college football season. So very much looking forward to that. Looking through Brett's kind of a macro stats. He does a great job. You know, obviously the game grader is his bread and butter, but he does one of my favorite things that Brett does is win conversion and player development rankings. And basically what that is he takes your 5-year average from your recruiting rankings, right, from 2019 to 2022, and then he compares that to your NFL draft picks from 2023 to 2026. He also does win conversion rate, which is your recruiting rankings from 2017 to 2025, and then your total wins from 2021 to 2025. So he kind of combines two numbers to see, all right, hey, where do you land in terms of, are you developing talent and are you converting talent into wins? So, when you look at these kind of player development rankings and you look at the win conversion rankings, you see teams that aren't necessarily Oregon, Alabama, Ohio State, because if Ohio State in their 5-year ranking, if they have the number 1 recruiting class and they have the most draft picks during that time period and they have the most wins during that time period, well, they're actually doing what they're supposed to, right? They're actually kind of evening out, which is a little limiting toward Ohio State. But you'll see on the win conversion rankings, SMU is number 1, BYU is number 2, Kansas State number 3, Texas Tech number 4, Louisville 5, Iowa 6, Utah 7, Minnesota 8, Washington 9, Houston 10, Illinois 11. Those are the teams that are taking recruiting classes that rank farther down the list, right, in terms of the consistent talent they're getting in. Minnesota's 37th in their 5-year recruiting average. Illinois is 38th in 5-year recruiting average. Washington 39th in 5-year recruiting average. And they're taking that lesser talent, converting it into wins. You look at the player development side, Illinois, number 1, Texas Tech, number 2, Kansas State, number 3, Pitt, number 4, and Arizona, number 5. Those are the 5 best teams when it comes to taking lesser recruiting classes and developing them into NFL draft picks. Can you guess who the worst win conversion rate over the last 5 years in college football is, Josh Hodson? Can you guess? Worst win conversion rate, according to Brett Ciancia, last 5 seasons.
Win conversion rate.
Taking the talent that you're recruiting and turning them into wins. Who's the worst?
Auburn?
Auburn is the worst. Very good. Very good, Josh Hodson. Auburn, in their 5-year recruiting average rankings, is 16th in the country. So they're consistently getting top 15, top 20 recruiting classes. Worst win conversion rate. Can you guess who the second worst is, Josh Hodgson? Second worst win conversion rate, talent to wins last 5 seasons. Can you guess?
I'm scared to guess.
No, I think you're right to be scared.
Nebraska?
Nebraska's the second worst in win conversion rate.
Horse crap call.
I thought you were going to give us a grunt there. You want to guess who's last in player development? Recruiting class ranking to players who draft in the NFL. Guess who the worst is?
Nebraska,
unfortunately.
What?
That's why, look, I mean,
Horse crap call.
I will say, if you're looking at these years, right, 2019 to 2022, draft picks 23 to 26, who was coaching Nebraska during 2019 to 2022? It was Scott Frost, right? So this is, this is a Frost plus Rule, Scott. I think it's way more of an indictment on Frost, to be honest with you, than it is on Matt Rule. And I would be stunned if over Matt Rule's time he's got less quality draft picks than Scott Frost did. I think he might. I mean, at this point, he might already have it. Outside of Cam Jurgens, who obviously played under Frost and has been the highest draft pick for Nebraska since Prince Amukamara back in 2011. But it's funny. We talk about the whole. I joke about bad NFL organizations. How do they hire? Right? Bad NFL organizations hire the offensive coach. Well, the defense sucks. So what do? Oh, we'll hire a defensive coach. Oh, wow. Our 2 coordinator hires the last 2 cycles didn't work. All right. Who are we going to hire the third time? Oh, let's go ahead, get the old veteran head coach who's won playoff games and, had a bad end to his first stint. Let's give him a second chance. Then that guy fails. Well, where do they go back to, Josh Hodson? They go back to the sexy offensive coach, right? That's the process that bad NFL organizations go through. You overcompensate. And, I think Scott Frost to Matt Rule wasn't, we got a great offensive coach. Let's go and get a great defensive coach. It clearly was, this guy is terrible at developing talent. Scott Frost is terrible at getting guys to take the next step while they're in his building. And I think that Rule, that's what kind of Nebraska's needed, right? You're not in the part of the country that are going to get these, 5 stars aren't just sitting at your front door at Nebraska like they're sitting at your front door in Louisiana, Florida, California, Georgia, so on and so forth. You need a guy who's going to develop talent and take those guys who maybe not be all the blue chippers and red chippers you think they are, but you can get them to the next level. To Matt Rule's credit, though, despite the fact that they're, you don't have a plethora of 5 stars and a plethora of 4 stars on your door, it doesn't mean they've done a bad job at getting some of those blue chippers to commit to their roster. Just, it's got to develop. And hopefully this year is the year to happen for Matt Rule, Nebraska. Tim Verghese, our great friend who joins us here every Tuesday inside Nebraska and Rivals.
Timmy V.
Had an article yesterday in which he released his 3 Nebraska Cornhuskers to buy stock in. Now, I didn't do myself credit here because there is one guy on this list that I had a tweet about last season, and people were like, what are you talking about?
So you've been watching this guy.
This is a guy I love that he writes as his first guy to buy stock in. And the reason why I love this guy is he's just like, I just love this is such like a lazy way of describing it, but he's just a football player, man. Like, he's a physical guy. He's a hitter. He gets his, he puts his head into piles. He gets his nose dirty. He grinds. And, when Donovan Jones, who is the first guy that Tim Verghese has written about buying stock in, when Donovan Jones hits dudes, he hits guys. Like, he wraps them up. They don't go anywhere. He's a really, really good tackler. And, John Butler talked about last year, him being their most physical player. Now, in John Butler fashion, it was kind of a backhand where he goes, well, our most physical player is a defensive back, which isn't that great of a thing. But he was Nebraska's consistently most physical player, 6'1", 200 pounds. And, this is a conversation that Gary and I had in the morning show with getting him closer to the ball, right? I just want a guy like that who is really just physical, good tackler. You need just a dude who's willing to put his body on the line and not necessarily make business decisions. You need him close to that run defense. And that's just kind of what it seems like with him transitioning to nickel, where they are going to, they're going to put him, he's going to play nickel. It seems like he's made that full transition from what Tim writes here. And, Donovan talks about the fact that he's kind of got to get used to, he says here, quote, just from reading gaps to everything in the passing game schemes, I've grown as a player, just got to bring it out there on the field. And he kind of talked about as well in terms of, he's got to get used to handling some bigger linemen out there when it comes to tackling in space and helping out in the run fits. Verghese writes here, in Orch's defense, the nickel defender is critical to the coverage plan and the run fit on any given snap. His time around Orch and his first-year safeties coach, Tyler Yelk, thus far this season has helped his football IQ improve more. And so D. Jones, for me, like, there were moments where he was kind of, targeted in pass coverage. And, that Minnesota game, he had a couple of penalties and holding calls. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, he's got to get a little bit faster in his lateral quickness. That way he doesn't have to be as handsy so he doesn't get penalized as much. But a line here that I love that Verghese wrote that gets me fired up for this guy is this. Tim writes, Jones has gotten to work this offseason in all aspects of this game. He's now running a 4.3 in the 40-yard dash and taking advantage of every opportunity to develop. Jameer Khan, former defensive back or a current defensive back on Nebraska, believes his fellow defensive back is first-round talent. I think that D. Jones has the size. He's got the frame. He has the physicality. He's got the right mindset when it comes to playing defense for this team. If he's able to take that next step, and, this is a guy, too, that, like, I was even, and Gary pushed back on this, but I was even being like, maybe and this was before they got Chambliss and this was before they got Foster. So as soon as they did that, I was like, all right, never mind. But D. Jones is a guy, I thought he was just so physical. I'm like, do you think of putting him at an outside backer position? Because his just ability to tackle and just, it's not necessarily about the IQ of filling gaps with this guy. He just goes, he just runs, he just does it. He's just physical. And, obviously they got a really, really talented linebacker room now, so that's not the case. But if he's got that lateral quickness down, if he's improving in his straight line speed, if he's got that agility, plus that physicality, plus his frame, now you're going to put him at a nickel spot where he can help out in both the run and the pass game. When Tim writes these things, and already what I've seen on the tape, I love to hear, like, Timmy V is the type of guy where if I like a guy and now Timmy V's buying stock on him, I'm fired up about it.
Makes you feel smart.
It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
All right, here's another guy that he writes. Josh Hodgson, we've talked about this on this show, about this guy on the show. And I've brought him up because not to break out the Dusty Rhodes impression. This guy's it, baby. He's got it. You can't buy it, you can't sell it if you wanted to. You are it. I've believed Cortez Mills is it. He's got something, man. And you didn't see him a lot. He had 120 snaps last season. 70 of those snaps were in the pass. 50 of those snaps were in run. 80% of his passing snaps last season were out wide. He wasn't really lining up a ton in the slot. He's 6 foot. He's now 190 pounds. He's put on some weight from last year. Last year, he was 185. He had 14 targets. He had 9 catches. He only had 2 receptions in the last 6 games of the season. But when he came out of the field against Cincinnati and he was running some of these routes, I saw it. You just see it. He's got that. He's got that get off. He's got that kind of, you can't teach just how shifty he is, how agile he is. He's got the capability to just be an elite route runner. The thing with Cortez is that he was a really young guy in an older, more experienced group, right? At that point, Barney had way more snaps than him. Hunter had way more snaps than him. Dane Key had multiple years of SEC experience under him. It was just a lot to ask of him to emerge in that room, and it definitely was difficult to get him as many snaps as maybe you would want. But, once again, this is a dude where he was a blue chipper out of Homestead, Florida, 4-star. He's kind of got all the measurables that you want out of a dude. I think that, so this is a quote that Tim Verghese added from Isaiah Hunter. Isaiah Hunter says this, quote, honestly, Cortez is going to be a great player. His work ethic and the way he practices is just like an NFL player. He's a young guy, but he knows how to move like an NFL player. And I think when you just see him move, I don't know. I can't explain it any other way than when I saw him play against Cincinnati, when I saw him run routes against Houston Christian, I go, oh, I was like Clint Booth. I was like, that's it. I was like, that's it. That's what it looks like, right? That's what a dude looks like, right? And I think there's a difference between what a dude looks like and what a dude plays like. Cortez Mills looks like a dude. Donovan Jones plays like a dude, and it's just kind of combining those two things. And when you tell me that Donovan Jones is running a 4.3, that's dude crap. That's dude stuff right there. Cortez, once again, it's a crowded wide receiver room. He's got to work through Gilmore. He's got to work through Barney. He's got to work through Hunter. But if he can get some more snaps, he only had 14 targets last season. Only at 14. And, I've never been the biggest fan of just targeting a guy to target a guy. I like, to have an offensive identity and let things flow and, whatever happens. But that's a dude too where it's going to be tough for him to get 60 targets, 70 targets. I mean, that's probably out of the realm, right? But I'd like to see that 25, 30, 35, 40, right? And maybe he just gets to a point where he does break out. And, that 62-yard reception he had, Houston Christian, you kind of saw it all there. And Tim writes in something that we didn't see a lot from him because, once again, limited snaps, only 120, only had 14 targets. Mills was regarded as one of, if not the best 50-50 ball winner in the 2025 recruiting cycle. I'd love to see them give him, more opportunities in terms of, what can he do? Once again, crowded room. It was a crowded room last year. Tough for him to get some snaps, tough for him to get some targets. But, what did we talk about yesterday, Josh Odson? You look at the production of this wide receiver room, it's a lot of guys who you would consider wide receiver twos. Barney has wide receiver two production. So does Gilmer. So does Hunter. Now, will better quarterback play and better play calling and a better offensive line lift those tide? Well, will that tide lift all the boats? Probably. But you're still, if somebody just comes out and grabs, hey, I'm the one, then they're the one. That's out there. Can Mills do it? Apparently, we're supposed to buy stock into him. And I love to hear that. Here's a guy that I haven't talked about. But at this point, Tim is like the fourth dude to bring him up. Okay? In terms of not only talking about the future of the D-line, but I've even had conversations about this guy in terms of, man, if they had him last year, if he wasn't hurt last year, he could have done something for Nebraska. And that's Tyson Terry, former defensive lineman, Omaha North, prolific wrestling career, right? Won the state championship his senior year on that torn ACL, had to rehab that torn ACL last year as a freshman, could not play last season. But here's a guy that, Riley Van Poppel has admitted that what Ty Robinson and what Nash Hutmaker did for me in terms of being a leader, being those bigger brothers, pushing him, that's what I'm trying to do with Tyson Terry. Verghese writes, at Omaha North, Terry amassed 300 tackles, 48 tackles for loss, 17 sacks in high school, despite missing the majority of his senior season with an ACL injury. 169-0 in wrestling.
Nice.
Dude. I remember when I would lift in high school, there was a big sign in the Notre Dame College Prep weightlifting facility. And it was a quote from Roddy White about the best wrestlers make great football players. And anytime you talk to football coaches or wrestling coaches, they just talk about, man, the understanding of where your weight placement, right? Hand placement, leverage, especially at the D-line position. I remember talking to people very close to the football program about Nash Hutmaker. And, Nash would sometimes line over, head up over the center, and he just burst through. And you're talking about Nash with these people, and they're like, they go, one guy told me, he's like, Nash has just got this wrestling crap, and he said a different word. He's just got this wrestling S that we didn't teach him, and he can't really teach anybody, but he just does it. He just does it. He's just got it because he wrestled. And the Nash obviously very famously ended up wrestling at Nebraska his senior year. But 169-0 wrestler, Terry's got that too. And I think that's part of the reason. Once again, It's a guy that I've never really I didn't really have a whole lot on my radar last season, and especially heading into this season. But now Tim's another dude who's talking about, hey, look out for him. And another thing as well, because Tyson was known about having a high motor and natural leverage, and having that wrestling that you just can't teach, right? But him rehabbing his ACL has allowed him as well to build his body and to form his body and help mature his body into, all right, this is what we want from a college football defensive lineman. He's 6'2", 300 pounds right now, down 10 pounds from his freshman season. So, he reportedly converted a lot of mass into muscle. And so we'll see what happens with Terry. But very interesting that it's already a guy I've heard some things about. And then, once again, I have such a high regard of what Tim talks about and what Tim's opinions that he's putting his names on these guys. That's big. But man, D Jones, I could watch that guy play football all day. I believe I tweeted that, I think maybe during the Utah game or maybe during the Iowa game. And people were like, what the hell are you talking about? I've always been enamored with him and just how he plays the game. I'm very excited to see what he might do this season. And we'll see. I mean, saw a picture of Jeremiah Charles yesterday. Dare I say it? Dare I say it?
No.
Dare I say it?
Matt.
Dare I say it?
Don't.
Dare I say it? He's looking the part, damn it. He's looking the part. He looks the part, Josh. He looks big. He looks physical. He looks chiseled. He looks awesome.
You had to say it.
I can't help it. He looks the part.
All right.
Sorry. Just had to get it out. It's been boiling up. PC goes, this segment brought to you by the Omaha North Vikings. Let's go Vikes. Shout out Coach Larry Martin. I don't know. I think Coach Martin's son, I believe, was working for Northwestern last season. I don't know if he's still with the Cats. I'd love to get an update on him. I talked to him when I was doing the high school games last season. We announced a couple Omaha North games. I got to know Coach Martin a little bit. He was the first Nebraska high school coach that I ever talked to. It was a great pleasure. A great pleasure to talk to Coach Martin. Go Vikings. All right, let's take a break here. You want to keep on college football, or do you want to you want to go to NFL? It's football season, baby. I'm sorry.
Oh, football.
It's football season.
Let's stay college.
You want to stay college?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about a couple athletic articles. Got a couple athletic articles I want to talk about. We're going to dip into a little bit of college basketball. I'm sorry, John, with no H. We have to. It's called topics, baby. We got to stay multiple here on Middays with Matt.
That's a dilemma.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Want to talk movies?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Like probably more than 2 seconds. So number one, have you seen Spider-Man yet?
I have not.
By the way, have you seen this new trend on Twitter where it's like people are purposefully asking like plot questions about movies to piss people off, and then it gains traction? It's like, why does this happen in the Odyssey? Why does this happen in Spider-Man? But it gets answered during the movie, and then people get all pissed about it. We have now rage baiting for movies. We now have vague posting and rage baiting for movies. We have evolved past sports being a toxic place on Twitter.
I would say devolved, but point taken.
Good point. We used to have safe spaces on Twitter. It's like, there was always 2 areas of Twitter that were super toxic. College football, or just sports in general, toxic areas on Twitter, and meat Twitter. All right? Don't post your meat on Twitter. And I'm talking about your barbecue meat, okay?
Obviously.
Obviously. I mean, any type of meat, really. Don't post it on Twitter because you're going to get the hounds to come and be like, oh, how'd you smoke it? How'd you season it? Oh, you use mustard as a binder? Oh, why did you do that? My Traeger, I use actual wood. I don't use pellets like you, simpleton. That's what meat Twitter's all about. It's like, oh my God, you're cooking a filet? What are you, what are you, a kid? What are you, an 8-year-old kid?
Everyone take a few minutes this afternoon and search meat Twitter on your Twitter app, your Twitter device. See what comes up.
So anyway, 2 things that I've seen on the Twitter today about movies.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, did you see the To Catch a Predator Chris Hansen movie with Robert Pattinson trailer?
I've watched this thing 3 times, none of them with the sound on.
Oh, really?
He's that captivating.
It is one of the best trailers I've seen in quite a while because, I didn't think this looks like a thriller. Like, I thought it would be more of like hey, Chris Hansen, fighting through some things, where it kind of makes Hansen look like the villain, which I didn't fully anticipate. Maybe I don't have a good enough knowledge of Chris Hansen's past in order for me to have a good outlook on what this movie might look like. Regardless, Pattinson is incredible in the trailer. It's his world, and we are just living at it at this point.
Yeah.
It kind of came out of nowhere, too.
Rat-a-tat-tat. He's just in everything.
Everything. And
I don't know how it's possible.
And he's doing a great job. It's not just like Glenn Powell where he's just in everything and you don't know, It's just, no, he's in it and he's absolutely incredible in it. The second trailer that I've now seen. Are you interested in a John Madden biopic starring Nicolas Cage as John Madden? Do you remember that this was happening? Remember this came out? People go, what? This sounds like Kevin James playing Sean Payton.
It's funny that you say that because last week I did Nicolas Cage is going to play John Madden later this year. And then today they announced that it's going to go straight to Amazon Prime, so it's good. And they'll advertise the hell out of it during every football game you watch on Thursday night, which is all of them, because, of course, you watch Thursday night football every week.
Every single week.
You never miss it. Makes me think maybe the movie isn't as good as I want it to be, but that's the beauty of a Nicolas Cage movie. There's a backside to, maybe it's not the greatest movie ever.
He can backdoor his way into you liking his bad movies.
Exactly.
That he's created that brand. There are some people that have created the brand that protects themselves. Like, some people can say some, controversial things, but then lean back and be like, well, you can't take what I say seriously,
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, that's an incredible superpower that one of the 2 people here at the radio station have that I wish I had. I'm very jealous of that superpower.
This guy, baby.
Nicolas Cage's superpower is he can make a bad movie and you can convince yourself you love it. And you're just like, this is what he does.
Now, it has Christian Bale in it as well. He usually does great work. David O. Russell is the director. He did Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle. There's more. I'm just
this is
forgetting
my
them.
point here, right? My point is this movie has a notable director, a notable lead actor, an incredibly notable source material, and John Madden, where a lot of his life was out on the main stage, right? A lot of what you know about John Madden, you saw right in front of your eyes. His success as a head coach, his success as a broadcaster, his very known relationship with Al Davis. You have all of that. You have Christian Bale playing Al Davis. You're like, oh my God. And yet this movie's going on Prime Video in November.
Trying to meet people where they're at.
They're not on Prime Video in November.
They're watching football on Amazon Prime.
It doesn't, I don't know. Doesn't make a ton of sense. I would like to see this movie in theaters, but
it will have a small theatrical run, just enough to qualify for any Academy Awards that it could possibly and will definitely win.
One person who will never win an Academy Award, but I'm always captivated by how they are when they're in front of a camera, is Fran Brown.
I thought you were going to say Matt Rule.
No. Well, I used to be captivated by what happened at the press conferences. Now I still think he's very good at them. It's just, not as captivating as they once were. Fran Brown was asked today what he thinks Syracuse football's NIL budget falls within the ACC.
Okay.
Fran Brown responded by saying, quote, I wouldn't ask my wife who she thinks is the cutest coach around. There's certain things that you're better off just not knowing. He continues, quote, I'm comfortable with who I am, comfortable with what we have. Worry about ourselves.
And the answer is Marcus Freeman.
Oh, is there really any competition to old Marcus?
Not in college.
I don't even think in the NFL. Would you take LaFleur, kind of gray foxy LaFleur?
How tall is LaFleur?
Oh, I think he's 5'9".
Yeah, he seems
5'10",
right?
Shanahan is tall, but Shanahan doesn't have that jawline like McVay and LaFleur does. This should replace This Week in Women's History, by the
way. do men for 6 months?
Do men for 6 months. We'll just call it Do Men. That's the title of the segment.
I'm sorry, I meant Matt LaFleur. I said Ryan LaFleur.
No, you said Matt.
Oh, okay. 5'11" is what Google says.
That's a lie. No such thing.
Yeah.
No such thing as 5'11". No such thing. Even, Mike Schaefer would agree. Mike Schaefer's probably yelling at his radio right now, like, we had this argument, you asshat, and now you're taking my side. Sorry, Mike. That's how it works. Speaking about Syracuse, how much they might spend on NIL, The Athletic released a very interesting article titled College Football Power 4 Ambition Tiers. Okay? Yes. I know what you're saying. I was like, what the hell is an ambition tier?
Ambition tier.
So here's what it's titled. Okay. Is your favorite college football team all in? ? Treading water? ? Our Power 4 Ambition Tiers. Written by Manny Navarro. He describes this article as, welcome to the college football Power 4 Ambition Tiers, where Ohio State has a private chef, Texas owns the building, and a handful of programs are avoiding calls from the collection agencies. In modern college football, winning requires more than just a good coach and a talented quarterback. It takes cash, alignment, facility upgrades, and boosters who are willing to treat needs on the defensive line like a national emergency. We divided every program into tiers based on who is rich, who is aggressive, who is merely optimistic, and who might need to start checking underneath the stadium seats for loose change. These aren't predictions for the 2026 season either. It's more of a snapshot of each school and a check-in on the vibes around the program. So here are some of the tiers. Always all in with big results. It includes Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Miami, Michigan, Notre Dame, to name a few. The next tier under always all in is big spenders hoping for results. Auburn, Florida, Oklahoma, Penn State, Texas A&M are in that tier. USC, Washington. The next tier is called new money. BYU, Indiana, Ole Miss. You can replace that with Mark Cuban, Crumble Cookie. SMU's in here. Oil Money, Texas Tech, Oil Money Part 2. And then the next tier after that, the fourth tier, is big brands with big questions. And that is where we find the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Manny Navarro writes about Nebraska. Matt Rule, 19-19 in 3 seasons. Needs a breakthrough in Lincoln. That will have to come without Dylan Raiola, the 5-star quarterback recruit who is now at Oregon. If Anthony Calandria, the 2025 Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year while at UNLV, proves to be a suitable replacement, winning 8 games is a possibility. Future. The Big Red rebuild of 103-year-old Memorial Stadium will cost $600 million and won't be completed until the start of the 28th season. If Rule is still winning only 6 or 7 games by then, someone else will be in charge of the program. So, this kind of power ranking tiers, right? Like, this is kind of where you would expect Nebraska to be, just based off of all of the things that we've heard, right? They don't have the Walmart money. They don't have the chicken finger money. They don't have the crumble cookie money. They don't have oil money. They definitely haven't proven to be in the tier where they're massive spenders like LSU, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Michigan. And they've kind of, all things considered, been competitive enough to get some top prospects away from teams that have more money to spend, right? We've kind of dove in deep to a lot of teams were interested in Paul Mubanga. They really had to pay a top dollar to get a guy like that. There were plenty of teams interested in Elijah Pritchard when he came out of Alabama. They had to pay top dollar to go and get him. I think that if Nebraska were to be in a tier below this, I would get a little bit concerned. They're with teams like North Carolina, like Florida State, like Clemson, right? And, I think Florida State, where big brands with big questions. Well, the big question is who's going to be their coach next year, right? It's like, at this point, probably not going to be Mike Norvell. Clemson's big question is Dabo Swinney. Can he adjust to being in this era of college sport? North Carolina's a team where we go, yeah, all right, like they've invested money, right? There's that deal where they got to put plenty of money into NIL and invest in the football team, but can Bill Belichick be a top-tier college football coach? Can he relate and adjust to this era of college football? Wisconsin, obviously, another team in here. Their big question is, will Luke Fickell continue to be their coach? His buyout at the end of 2026 is $19 million. Other tiers are Big Two, money with big dreams, right? That's kind of describing, hey, these are SEC and Big Ten conference teams that, they're a part of the Big Two conference. They don't have the most amount of money, right? But they have dreams to eventually compete one day and be in the college football playoff. Another tier is times are changing. We have money, and includes Oklahoma State, Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech, UCLA, teams that, maybe you didn't expect to compete a ton and haven't had the most success in the past, but they're investing and they're trying. I mean, at UCLA, it'll be interesting to see what Bob Chesney and his big transfer portal class ends up doing this year. But Nebraska in their tier 4 ambition, according to The Athletic, big brands with big questions.
I don't know. Tier 4 sounds low.
Yeah, it's the back and forth between, Dannon saying we've never had more money for football, and then rules, and it hasn't been, it was way more consistent before the offseason, right? Since the offseason happened, we haven't talked to him a ton, and he hasn't talked about it a lot. But before we got into the transfer portal, it was money, money, money. I want more money. We want more money. Why can't we be at the cutting edge, right? Why can't we be toward the top? And Dannon saying we've never had more money, right? Those are kind of two different messages, right?
Sure.
You got your AD saying we haven't had more resources, and you got your head coach saying we need more resources. We need to be, we should be more toward the top. It's they've never really been. They've never clashed like that, right? Like in front of everybody, but you have two kind of differing messages, right? From your AD and your head coach. And I think that kind of communicated to you that they're not at the top, but they're definitely not at the bottom. And that's what tier 4 would be. They're not the big spenders. They're not the Ohio States. They're not the Oregons. They're not the Alabamas. but they're definitely not in the basement with the Purdues and the Northwesterns and the teams that you're like, what the hell are they doing? They're definitely not in the Kansases and Iowa States where you're like, what is the athletic future for them, right? So kind of interesting there to the Athletic peeling back the curtain just a little bit. I don't know. NIL has always been behind kind of this this cover of like, oh, we don't really know what teams are spending, but peeling back just a little bit. Kind of interesting there. Quick break. We'll have a quick segment, and then we'll do Odd News at 12 o'clock here on Middays with Matt.
Josh Hudson's boyhood hero was Hank Aaron. Matt McMasters was the guy from the Dos Equis commercial. Now it's starting to all make sense. Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
I've received a text.
Oh, okay.
That I've been commanded by somebody that I report to even above you.
God?
She might be. It'll be off topic, but gosh darn it, I want Josh to read my text while you're on camera. He might snort. Now, I don't believe you know what text I'm referring to, so I will read the text message. Josh,
I'm guessing this is from your mother.
OMG, I remembered my dream from last night. Holy crap.
Wait.
You responded, okay.
Why?
This individual said, I yelled at you because you didn't take out the trash to the curb. Later on, when I took the trash out, the can was empty. I asked how you did it, and you yelled in my face while having your arm like you were yielding a wand. You said, maybe I did become Harry Potter B-word.
Why is my wife texting you what she dreams about?
She texted me her text message to you of what she sent you.
Yeah.
I was really tempted to say the full B word on the air, but I didn't know if we'd get dumped or not, so I took the...
Did she send you my response?
No, she did not. What was
she
your
texted
response?
me the exact same thing. She needs to go back to work desperately. She's clearly bored. Grey's Anatomy must have gotten boring. Well, maybe I am Harry Potter B-word because I took the trash out. Today's our trash day.
Thursday's your trash day?
Yeah.
Wow. Skokie, Illinois does a little differently.
When is Skokie's trash day?
Mondays and Fridays, baby.
That's it?
Yeah.
I guess it is a village,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
We just kind of did it differently. Everybody else is Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't know why we did it so much differently. And then she goes, you've heard the full story now of why he hates Harry Potter. And yes, we don't have to rehash that.
I wouldn't want to. Don't want to relive my trauma on air.
I live my trauma on air every day for us.
You're braver than I.
I'm glad you admitted it. Don't make fun of my T's, all right? I know.
No.
ADMIDDED is how that sounded.
I got no beef with the things you say. Or the way you say them.
What if I bought you a Harry Potter wand? How mad would you be at me?
I'd probably laugh and then turn that some gun sideways and stick it straight up your,
candy ass?
That's right.
Hell yeah. You are the Rock to my Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Whoa, that's good for both of us.
It's great for both of us. I mean, the amount of money we draw. Holy crap. I'd love to main event WrestleMania 17 one day. Okay. Let's hit a break here. We have an Ahmad Hudson update.
Ahmad Hudson.
Amongst other football things here on 1620 The Zone.
He's from the third largest village in the world, Skokie, Illinois. Middays with Matt on 1620, The Zone.
Don't forget about 1620, the golf tournament. August 21st at Miracle Hill. 8:30 a.m. shotgun start. Sign up at 1620zone.com. 4-player scramble. $100 per player. Gets you 18 holes of golf. Gets you drinks. Gets you food. Gets you some prizes. Gets you goodies. Gets you an opportunity to win prizes at every hole. Gets you an opportunity to win $10,000 if you hit a hole-in-one on the par threes. Brought to you by Langfeld Overhead Doors. Also gets you VIP access to the Phoenix, our great little after party, 120th and Blondo. Going to have a great time there. So don't forget, it's a bang for your buck, $400 for a foursome 1620 Zone Golf Tournament at Miracle Hill. Spots are going fast, so sign up today, 1620thezone.com. We have an Ahmad Hudson recruiting update. Should get I feel like every couple of weeks we get a Hudson update. We should make a Hudson update drop of some sort.
I'm trying to think of what we could do. What would I got nothing.
Neither do I. God, we need Mike Schaefer as our radio offensive coordinator. You know,
just have him call a couple plays.
A radio analyst. Yeah,
we'll execute the plays.
We're very good at executing.
You just got to draw them up.
Exactly. We are not the idea show. We're the execution show. We just, we put our mouths to the microphones and we get the job done. Make that a motto. Put that up there. What? That's what we do.
I stumbled upon a quote.
Oh, go ahead.
Purdue athletic director Tommy McClellan.
What a name. How many Tommy McClellans, by the way, have you grown up with? Too many.
All of them. In his introductory press conference, first day on the job, it seems, quote, remember, this is the Purdue athletic director. Quote, "We are here to win championships. If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana." End quote.
What?
If you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana.
Sorry, sir. Tommy. Sorry, Tommy. Real quick. I don't know if you know, but do you know who won the last year's national championship in football, Tommy?
No spoilers. I'm binging it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not caught up yet.
That's fine.
Don't tell me.
You're not really gonna like the outcome. You're not gonna like what you see, Tommy. Uh-oh. You think that got to Signetti's desk? How quickly do you think the pop time was from that quote to Signetti's computer?
Also, the first sentence, which seems a lot worse now, the last Purdue championship was 2010 women's golf. Is that true?
Yeah, it is, because they haven't won a basketball one.
Oh, okay.
Remember they got upset by the 16 seed?
I remember.
And then they made the national championship game and got their brakes blown off by UConn? You remember that one?
I forget that one.
Dude, they got their asses whooped. People don't talk about that. Well, Connor Happer immediately is going to say enough people talk about it, but Connor is in his own. Listen, college basketball people don't talk about how dominant that 2-year stretch was from UConn. Like, seriously.
Yes.
Like, on a different level. Like, they did. Didn't they win all their NCAA tournament games by double digits? Like, crazy run.
This Ahmad Hudson fellow.
Oh, sorry. Great. I appreciate you segueing for me. I was ready to stay on Tommy McClellan for a while.
Okay.
I've made fun of so many Tommy McClellans in my life that this would be no different. I played baseball with the Tommy McClellan. I played hockey with the Tommy McClellan. Hell, I'm pretty sure if I ever move back home to Chicago, Tommy McClellan might be my financial advisor.
Oh, yeah.
Might have McClellan Auto Group selling Toyota, Chevys, and Fords since 2010.
What's it going to take to put you in this Acura today?
I drive a Dodge Stratus. Dodge Stratus, is that a good car? I've never seen one before.
I don't. Do they make it anymore?
I have no idea. I'm not a car guy. I have a car guy in my life. Having a car guy in your life is one of the more underrated things you can do. Okay. My car guy, his name's Terry. Okay.
Good car guy name.
I have a problem with the car. I call Terry, and Terry goes, "This is what you got to do." That man's probably saved me about $1,000.
No, Dodge does not still make the Stratus. Ended in 05.
Dang it. See, I've lived in a world without a Dodge Stratus.
Yeah.
People do say 05 is when everything started hitting the fan.
Is that what they say?
That's what people say. But I talk to a lot of people.
Okay.
I'm a man of the people.
You are a man of the people, more so than me.
I talk to people all the time. I just sit in bars and I just talk to people and they go, ever since they stopped making the Dodge Stratus, it's all gone haywire. Even I can't say that with a straight face. All right, Mod Hudson. So Hudson is, once again, I'm not making fun of the kid. I'm not making fun of the kid. I'm making fun of the principle of being committed, but you're not committed. It's still like he's a committed recruit to LSU. And this is what everybody does. But his recruitment is still very much open. Okay? This is what he said in the Tim Verghese article. Quote, "Still deciding on what I have to do that's best for me and my family, and that's long term. If that's staying in state, that's staying in state. If that's leaving and going someplace else, that's leaving and going someplace else. I have to think about the future of me, not just my family. I have to see what place will get me to where I want to be, mainly as a person, but also as a player." And by the way, a very mature quote by a young man in this crazy realm of high school and college sports. I love the line, "I have to think about the future of me, not just my family. I got to do what's best for me." And I think that's at times, and I've been in that situation before, right? In terms of, do I want to stay in state and go to school? Do I want to be close to my parents? Do I want to go out of state? Like, that's a tough decision to make. And, it's hard for some people, especially at that younger age, to be like, no, I gotta serve my best interest, right? And I think that's very mature of him to say. Now, here was the money quote. And I love it when Tim writes these articles because he writes a lot about like Hudson and basketball. And anytime you read an Ahmad Hudson basketball or Ahmad Hudson recruiting article, it's a lot about basketball. And he wants to make it very clear, hey, I'm not just a football player. I'm a basketball player. I want to play ball. I don't want to just play 4 or 5 games. No, I want to contribute to a college basketball team. And so Tim does a great job of detailing, the conversations that Coach Fred Hoiberg and Coach Ziegler, along with Ahmad Hudson, have had in terms of what Nebraska basketball's vision is for Ahmad Hudson, who very much wants to play both football and basketball. Here is the money quotes. Quote from Hudson. This is in reference to Nebraska basketball. Quote, "Communication has been great. It's the best I could possibly ask for. They don't really try to flip kids on the basketball side, and to see them trying to flip me just shows that I'm special to them, and I mean a lot to them." Verghese now writes, when asked point blank about communication with the Nebraska staff compared to LSU, Hudson was careful with his words. Quote from Ahmad Hudson, quote, "The program you wouldn't expect to be doing their job to try and get me to come there is doing what they need to do," he said. He continues, quote, "The program you most expect it from is not doing what they need to do." I'll read it again. Ahmad Hudson says about his recruitment, in particular on the basketball side, "The program you wouldn't expect to be doing their job to try and get me to come there is doing what they need to do. But the program you most expect it from is not doing what they need to do." This is from Shea Dixon of the Bengal Tiger on 3. He writes about Verghese's article, right? Tim's article about Hudson's quote about the program you didn't think would be doing what they're doing is doing what they need to do. The program you'd think be doing it isn't doing it. It set off alarms. So Shea Dixon of the Bengal Tiger on 3's LSU site writes, first off, he's not referencing football. The football staff has talked to Hudson. He breaks down their entire relationship. He details that Will Wade got hired to replace Matt McMahon on the basketball staff and has been focused on putting together this year's roster. He hasn't necessarily thought about the future. Will Wade has over the last couple of months. And so he hasn't paid as much attention to Ahmad Hudson and his basketball recruitment. During that downtime, Nebraska basketball has reportedly put in the work that they need to do. Dixon continues. How is LSU countering the public comments made on Wednesday? ? Dixon says sources tell him that Kiffin and Wade spoke multiple times on Wednesday and are on the same page with a game plan moving forward. That's great news for LSU fans. They didn't just let it go. They immediately went into putting together an updated plan of action. Later in Dixon's article, he writes, this is my recruiting motto. Watch what they do, not what they say. After speaking with sources, I feel more confident now that there is no need for Tiger fans to panic. Hudson committed to LSU for a reason. He could have committed to Nebraska, but he didn't. He could have flipped, but he hasn't. His actions speak to him wanting to go to college at LSU for football and basketball, and Kiffin and Wade are going to tag team this one to get it across the finish line for December's early signing period.
Seems to me, a casual observer, maybe not a ball knower, LSU's taking Ahmad Hudson for granted.
I think
you know where that wouldn't happen? Lincoln, Nebraska.
That's kind of the reading in between the lines, right? They get the commitment. They kind of take their foot off the gas just a little bit. Look, Nebraska knows the value Ahmad Hudson can bring to them, not only from a field perspective, but an optic perspective as well, in terms of, holy crap, they flipped a 5-star tight end, in-state Louisiana prospect from LSU. What the hell is in the Lincoln, Nebraska water, right? That's what people would be asking. That would be a national story from a recruiting perspective. That'd be a very big deal. That's the type of commitment that gets recruits to look around and be like, what? Ahmad? Why did Ahmad go there? You know, seriously, right?
Yeah, no,
I mean, this
absolutely.
is the honesty.
People would do that.
Why would Ahmad go there? What does Nebraska have?
What are they doing over there?
Exactly. And then it gets to ask questions. Then you see the facilities. Then you see, what they're willing to invest in certain players. And it's like, okay, I get it.
Down there in Baton Rouge, they know how to take the commitment. They just don't know how to hold the commitment.
So that's I think you're right in reading between the lines there, Josh, in terms of Nebraska has not let this thing up. And it's not just Rule, it's Hoiberg as well.
AKA Mr. Steelio Girl.
And Mr. Fred has put in the work. And he has told Ahmad, hey, we see you 3, playing the 3, maybe the 4. Here's a great little piece that was in Verghese's article, Chef's Kiss to Tim. He wrote that.
A Verghese piece?
A Verghese piece, yes. He wrote that Hudson told Tim that Hoiberg is like, hey, by the way, I run a lot of my offense through the 4. Just saying, just so you know, power forwards hold the ball a lot in my offense. That's a sneeze, Fred, you sneaky little son of a gun. If Fred Hoiberg is the one to get Ahmad Hudson, that would, you know what? I'm not going to say it, but I wouldn't expect to see that happening at a little hall that old people like to go to. Because I don't like to say I didn't have that on my bingo card.
Mm-hmm.
But I would never expect that.
You would never say that.
I would never say that, which is why I didn't say that. But exactly. I would not expect a potential turning piece in Nebraska's football recruiting program history with Matt Rule stems from Fred Hoiberg of all people. That'd be incredible.
It is an interesting development, yes.
Yeah, once again, like in the beginning, what I said about the whole, the kid, he is committed, but he's not committed. Like he's committed, but he's saying I don't know yet, but I'm committed. I've never really liked that. Just be committed or not committed.
He's clearly settling down with the most convenient girl right now, but is absolutely texting other people behind her back.
Look, Jenny obviously is the hottest girl that he could take to the prom, and he is set to take Jenny to the prom. That is happening. But he's got feelings for Olivia. And even though optically it wouldn't look great, it would look much better. It'd be much more expected for Ahmad to take Jenny to the prom. He can't shake Olivia. He just can't get her out of her head. He can't get Matt Rule and Fred Hoiberg out of his head. He wants to take them to the prom, but he's like, just everybody else. And just makes more sense for me to take Lane to the prom and Will to the prom. It makes more sense. It checks out.
But
his dad's a legacy there.
Everyone expects me to take. Now I've forgotten all these girls' names.
Jenny and Olivia, Matt and Lane.
Everyone expects me to take Jenny to the prom.
Everyone expects them.
For years, they've said, you and Jenny are going to go to the prom together. You're going to look great.
I mean, they grew up together.
Yeah.
I mean, their parents were childhood best friends. This has gone too deep in the water. Let's pull out of this analogy immediately. But you get what I'm saying here.
I do, and I held off saying a joke.
Why? I don't want you to hold things off.
It was
rather
inappropriate.
Okay, we'll say it off the air. Let's take a break then. Take a break.
I'll tell you.
Okay, yeah, no, that's why I'm taking a break. I'm not taking a break for the convenience of radio. I'm taking a break because I want to hear this joke. We will talk about, wait for it, guys, the Hall of Fame game.
It's tonight, everybody.
Come on, guys. Let's get fired up.
Tell people you're watching and then turn on Ted Lasso.
Look at this. I got my Carolina Panthers.
You dressed for the occasion.
I did dress for the occasion.
The occasion being the Hall of Fame game.
Look at my Super Bowl hat.
Yes.
It's from the NFL Network. It's got an NFL Network patch.
NFL Films.
NFL Films. Look at that. By the way, I put Nutrafol in today. How does it look? Does it look any better?
It looks better than it did yesterday.
Yeah, it did. Nice and fluffy. That's good. Nice.
That's what we're looking for.
I appreciate it. I got it. Nutrafol's got to come in because I'm officially going to be a best man at a wedding next year. So
hello.
Yeah, I got my friend sent me a glass.
Congrats.
And it said Matt M, best man.
I'm just really happy for you.
It's in August, so that's good. I was worried about a fall wedding.
Late August or early August?
Early August.
Okay.
August 13th. Don't crash my friend's wedding. Or do. Be a good time. We're going to continue to have a good time here on Middays with Matt. We'll talk about everybody's favorite event tonight, the Hall of Fame game. Coming up next here on MWM.
Tortillas.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Pineapple.
Hey, do not forget about our incredibly special contest. We are sending one lucky Husker fan and a guest to see Nebraska battle the Oregon Ducks in Eugene. Enter now at 1620zone.com.
The place with all the trees?
Yes, all those trees in Eugene, and a place that has less people than the population of Lincoln, very
Always
famously.
wanted to see trees.
Keep listening for bonus chances to earn even more entries to go and view some trees, and Dylan Raiola be the backup quarterback for the Oregon Ducks.
Oh, he's
1620
playing in that game.
.com. I do not believe Dan Lanning when they say they have packages for Dylan. You have packages for other quarterbacks when those other quarterbacks are very athletic. Dylan can't move. All right. You have like,
well, they're going to treat him like a fullback.
When Carson Wentz was the quarterback for the Eagles, they had Jalen Hurts packages because it's like, well, Jalen can run. Like that's like a wrinkle. When Flacco was there, and Lamar Jackson was a rookie, they had packages for Lamar before it took the starting job, right? Because Lamar could run. Dylan can't. Dylan famously can't. He's slow.
Somebody behind him, a running back, can push him forward in a pile.
The prizes of our 1620thezone.com contest to see Nebraska play Oregon include 2 tickets to see Nebraska Saturday, October 17th versus Oregon in Eugene. 2 round trip airfare for 2 from Omaha to Eugene, 2-night hotel stay, and $150 gift card for food, rides, or game day gear. Enter at 1620thezone.com and keep listening for bonus chances to earn even more entries. Hall of Fame game is tonight. Let's spoil what to watch. What time and what network can you watch the Hall of Fame game tonight, Mr.
7
Josh
o'clock
Otson?
on NBC with Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and the debut of Mike Tomlin.
Nice. Former Nebraska Cornhusker Roger Craig will be honored tonight at the Hall of Fame game as he's entering the Hall of Fame this year. Congratulations to Roger Craig. So halftime they'll do that. I remember when the Bears, I think the Bears played in the Hall of Fame game, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago.
Did they honor Roger Craig before the game?
They honored Steve McMichael, Mongo.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Rest in peace. I believe this was right before he passed away, if I'm not mistaken, which is I think it's part of the reason why he was they played the Browns, right?
They played the Texans in 2024.
They did. Yeah,
they won 21-17.
I think Caleb, I produced that game. All those games that I produced for the Bears just all just been thrown into the void.
Imagine running the Hall of Fame game on radio.
Dude, it was so painful. Like, it was like a random ass, it was a Thursday and it was a night game. And like, you know, we did this thing too where we took calls at halftime for the Bears games.
Good God, man.
I think we were the only affiliate in the country that took calls during halftime for our games. And I was the poor schmuck that had to screen the calls to make sure they were quality, then rank the calls within quality. So then our hosts could go through the calls at halftime and hear fans' opinions. And let me tell you, when they were losing to Detroit at halftime of that Thanksgiving football game, I wish that job on nobody. Yeah. Like, it was bad. It was bad. It was a tough job. Tough job indeed. Anyway, Hall of Fame game tonight. When Kenny Pickett was announced as a starter for the Hall of Fame game, I was like, all right, well, you know, it's a Hall of Fame game. Am I really going to be excited about that? Like, who cares? Mm-hmm. But when Carson Beck was announced as the starter for the Hall of Fame game, I actually was a little fired up because I liked Beck coming out of Miami. I don't think that he got nearly enough love for the job that he did. Very nearly, by the way. We don't talk about that enough as well. Leading Miami to win a national championship. I thought he did a stellar job as a Hurricane. And you go through like his credentials in terms of starts, in terms of experience, in terms of top competition and big games that he's played in. You know, throughout his career, Carson Beck has played more challenging teams and has been challenged more as a quarterback than maybe anyone else who was drafted to be a quarterback this year. The guy started like 40 games, 39 games for Georgia. He started another 13 games for Miami. He played in 55 collegiate football games in the SEC and the ACC. I mean, he's thrown the ball 1,300 times in his college career. He threw for 11,000 yards in college. Like, the guy is battle tested. Once again, like, there were definitely concerns about, how his personality is off the field. There's definitely concerns in terms of how his career ended at Georgia, where they were more than happy to let that guy walk and go with Gunnar Stockton. They packed his bags for him. They were cool. They were done. So I know that has kind of floated over his head over the last couple of years. And so I was fired up a little bit to be like, all right, I want to see what this guy does. Like, I want to see how he competes, for however long he ends up playing tonight. That's just the sicko I am.
The neck versus the glove tonight.
And then I stumbled across this Arizona Cardinal training camp video.
Uh-huh. I'm gonna put it in here.
Okay. So we're gonna play it. This is a compilation of videos.
The sound is not important.
Is it playing? Is it rolling? Okay. This is a compilation of videos here from the Arizona Cardinals. I know. I don't know why. Why is it choppy?
I don't know.
Oh, this is a failure. This is a complete failure. Well, anyway, it's a choppy video.
I encourage my talent here at the Zone to try things. And
it's all lowlights, Josh. It's all people just missing passes, dropping passes, fumbling the football, interceptions. It is a minute clip of just straight debauchery from the Arizona Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr. has his own 22-second low-light film of him dropping all these different types of passes. It is crazy. This team looks like one of the worst practicing teams I've ever seen in my entire life. It is brutal. It's a straight minute of just the quarterback's getting sacked, getting hit by the line of scrimmage. Everybody knows at training camp, you don't touch the quarterback. What are we doing here? It's insane. How bad? Look at this. Look at him. He got rocked in the backfield. It is terrible. It's a terrible video. Yeah. So they look like the worst team of all time, according to looking at these training camp practice videos. I'm excited to see what sort of calamity happens tonight for Arizona. I really am. I'm excited to see just how terrible it looks. I'm kind of fired up about it. This team is going to be bad if their training camp videos are indicative of anything. Now, for the Carolina Panthers, very interesting team heading into the season. They made the playoffs last year.
Sith Destroyer makes an excellent point here. If you're playing fantasy this year, just drop and add defenses that are playing the Cardinals each and every week.
Warren Sharp said that they have 4 guys being taken in the top 100 in fantasy football. Okay. Jeremiah Love, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride.
Oh, sure.
And then I'm going to guess it's Michael Wilson. Now, McBride is one of the top 2 tight ends. Jeremiah Love will be a top pick in dynasty leagues. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be the guy that you never quit. Okay. Like, you're just never going to stop drafting.
But they're going to make opposing defenses look great.
I don't think I'm going to draft any Cardinals. They got, in theory, they have, but like, you say what you want about the Texans offensive line. You say what you want about the Dolphins offense. Like, Arizona's offensive line is terrible. I'm going to be real with you. I'm not touching Jeremiah Love with a 10-foot pole this year. I'm not.
Next year?
Probably, if they improve the O-line. But they've also drafted to the offensive line too, which doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about the Panthers.
Yeah.
Team that made the playoffs last year.
Shirt you're wearing.
I think Bryce Young is one of the most interesting quarterbacks that doesn't get discussed enough. Came in first year, terrible roster, way in over his head, looks awful, looks like tiny baby quarterback, like all the jokes being made about him. I think Bomani Jones famously said, he's like, look at that little guy. He's just crying. Like, it's just tough. It was tough for Bia. It was tough for Bryce. And, then year 2 happens and he gets off to a terrible start, and he had some success, at the end of his first year, but it was a lot of like, all right, hey, we're 5 wide. We're just spreading out the football. It's just stuff that seemed that defenses could defend pretty easily once you figured it out, and teams figured it out pretty rapidly in year 2. Remember, he gets benched for Andy Dalton, and people are like, wow, this is over. Like once, like Happer talked about it earlier this week in terms of like benching quarterbacks. Like once you make that decision, that's a big decision to make, because once you make it, right? It's almost like very rarely is it no backsies. So they make the decision to bench Bryce Young, and then Andy Dalton gets into a car crash. Do you remember this?
I only just now when you said it did I remember.
He got into an accident, like off the field accident that forced him to miss games. So then they go, well, all right, Andy got into a car crash. Like, Bryce, you got to play. And just during that time, Young kind of figured it out. He took the benching probably in the most eloquent way you could ever take a benching. He used it as a moment not to sulk and say, oh, I guess I'm not going to be on this team this year. He took it as a moment to be like, all right, no, what do I have to do better? How do I have to improve? And what do I have to do to make sure that me being the number 1 pick of the future franchise quarterback of this team, that I end up being that way? And you look at the kind of the games of the back half of his 2024 season. He had 263 passing yards and 1 touchdown versus Kansas City. He had 298 passing yards and 1 touchdown against Tampa Bay. He had 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception against Philly. He had 220 passing yards against Dallas. He had 250 passing yards against Atlanta in an overtime win. They rattled off some big wins, in that season, even a close game against Kansas City where they only lost by 3, to the point where you were encouraged by the end of his 24 to look at the 25 he might have. And now you look at him in 2025 and you go, okay, not great, but not terrible. His vanilla stats look way better compared to his advanced stats. His vanilla stats are pretty good. 3,000 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, a 64% completion percentage. His yards per attempt could be a little bit better, but like, hey, pretty serviceable. His advanced statistics, though, aren't great. 22nd in QBR. He's 30th in total EPA. They picked up his 5th-year option. I think it was a pretty easy decision for them to make. Bryce Young is the quarterback where, does Carolina know that for the next 10 years they have that position locked up? No, they do not. If you were to ask somebody in Carolina, hey, do you think Bryce Young is going to be your future right now? Gun to your head, do you think that he'll be your future for the next 10 years? They'd probably tell you no. But he definitely isn't a quarterback where you're not going to pick up that 5th-year option and give up on him. And this is a make or break contract year for Bryce Young. If he's going to be the guy that they thought he was when they drafted him out of Alabama after winning the Heisman, if he's going to be that number 1 overall pick, and we look back on that Carolina-Chicago trade right now and say, wow, that is the trade that sparked Chicago to have the turnaround they've had with Caleb Williams, with Darnell Wright, with Tyreek Stevenson, with Ben Johnson, with Ryan Poles. That was the trade that ignited everything. But if Bryce Young ends up being that franchise-style quarterback, that type of guy that Carolina believed he could be out of Alabama, who cares? Who really cares? Okay, you got what you wanted. You got what you needed. He ended up being the guy. We always look back and the Bears probably end up winning that trade, sure, but Carolina wanted to accomplish something. If Bryce Young is that dude, then they accomplished it. I think it's just a very underrated storyline with the Carolina Panthers in an NFC South that they won last year. That they have some interesting pieces in terms of, I thought Ted McMillan was a really, really good draft pick for them next year. I think they had a solid draft this year. It's just unfortunate. Nick Skirton going down. Thought that he could be a real player for them at the linebacker position. We'll see what happens. Xavier Legette, I thought this was a big year for him. He ends up tearing his ACL. Chris Brazzell, I thought was a really good draft pick out of Tennessee. He got hurt in training camp too. So they've suffered some injuries, but I think that this is kind of the make or break year for Carolina and Bryce Young. Like if he's going to be their long-term future, he's got to get better. And maybe one more year with, they used the top pick on Ted McMillan for a reason. I thought that he was an incredibly underrated rookie wide receiver down the stretch. It's a team that, look, we talk a lot about the Cowboys. We talk a lot about the Bears. We talk a lot about, the Chiefs and the 49ers. And there are teams like the Titans. There are teams like the Jaguars. There are teams like the Panthers that kind of get put to the wayside. But I think Carolina's quarterback situation is very, very intriguing to me. All right, let's do buy, sell, hold, or bet. Auburn and Alabama, the former home of Bryce Young. And then we will talk to Ryan Fowler of 100.9 The Tide at 1 o'clock to talk about the Crimson Tide and Kalen DeBoer's potential future in Tuscaloosa. All that and more here on Middays with Matt. On Middays with Matt on the 1620 Zone Radio Network. The Auburn Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide are the two teams we will talk about today on Buy, Sell, Hold, or Bet.
It's funny you put these teams together because they play in a game at the end of every year called the Iron Bowl.
Crazy I put these two teams together because they're in the same state. It really just spawned from this. I wanted to do Alabama, and then I was like, oh, well, if I'm doing Alabama, I might as well just do Auburn. While we're here, while we're in the state, we might as well do it. Let's talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Over-under this year for Alabama, 8.5 is the over-under win total. Interesting offseason for Alabama, considering the fact that their high school recruiting classes over the last 5 years actually ranked number 1 in college football. They've been able to continue to stockpile talent over the last 5 seasons. But here's the problem, Josh, with the transfer portal. And I don't want to say the lack of success. They made the college football playoff last year, right? I mean, last year it was playoff or bust for Kalen DeBoer. He made the playoff. He should be credited for that. Granted, they were awesome in the middle of the year when they won 4 straight SEC games against 4 straight SEC opponents. Do you know who else has accomplished that in a season, beating 4 straight SEC opponents? All of them are ranked. Do you know who also accomplished that?
Nick Saban?
No one. Oh, no one. They were the first team to ever beat 4 straight SEC ranked opponents back to back to back to back. After suffering that very puzzling loss, it became super puzzling, especially after they beat Georgia on the road for the first time in 33 tries from other opponents to beat Georgia between the hedges. That puzzling loss to Florida State, but they bounced back. Ty Simpson ended up having a great season to the point where he was a first-round draft pick, but they lost a lot of talent in the transfer portal, and they have some major questions this season just all across the team. I think the things that you can, hang your hat on is their wide receivers are really good. They have Coleman Williams along with Brooks. They're going to be fine there. They kept a lot of their secondary, so they're going to be fine in the back half there. But other than that, man, they've lost 4 of their starting 5 offensive linemen. They only have 1 returning starter from the defensive front 7. Their run game last year was ranked 125th in the country. They lost their starting running back in Jam Miller. He's gone. And look, you have 2 very interesting options at quarterback for Alabama. And it's one of those things where, you don't like that you don't have experience coming back, right? Like you don't like the fact that they're not bringing back someone that for sure that you can count on. At the same time, the quarterback battle between Oscar Mack and Keelan Russell will be very interesting because they're both very different, like Mack is a pocket passer. He has a 6'6", frame, where Keelan Russell, he's a former 5-star. And he is one of those kind of off schedule, elusive, dual threat quarterbacks that brings a lot of versatility to the offense. You really, if you pick Mack and you pick Russell, you're kind of setting yourself up for 2 different offenses. But they do have good options to choose from. Both those options, a lot of teams across the country would love to have the embarrassment of riches to the point where, do we choose this top prospect or choose this top prospect to be our quarterback? But, their high school recruiting classes have been good. Their transfer portal class wasn't really anything to write home about. Only 18th in the country last season, and they were 21st in the transfer portal rank in 2025, which has a lot to do with what they lost as well, and they've lost plenty of guys. Look, Alabama's schedule isn't overly tough. Okay, let me read it to you. It's still not easy, but it's not too terrible.
I've heard the SEC is tough.
East Carolina win, at Kentucky win, versus Florida State win, at home for South Carolina win, at Mississippi State win. Pretty clear path there to start 5-0. After though October 3rd, you follow that up with Georgia, playoff team last year, Tennessee, could be playoff team this year, Texas A&M, playoff team last year, at LSU, raucous crowd. At that point, if you're playing LSU in the first week of November, right? They could be very good. They could be very good then.
I bet it's LSU at night as well.
Yes, at Baton Rouge. followed up by at Vanderbilt, who has found newfound success in football. Then you get Chattanooga, and then you have the Iron Bowl, which is always a close game. It's a brutal stretch to end the year. They did not their opponents did not get spread out in the slightest, okay? It is you get a pretty cupcake looking beginning of the season, followed up by Murderer's Row, it seems like, toward the end of the year. I'm going to hold on Alabama. I'm a little bit closer to selling them, if I'm being honest with you, just because I'm worried about the O-line. I think, once again, it's probably more favorable that they don't have a run game as opposed to them having a run game. At the same time, they go with Keelan Russell, who is an explosive, quarterback behind center. Like, if they want to use him as an arm of the run game, that'd probably be their best course of action. But it's a tougher schedule down the stretch. We're going to talk with Ryan Fowler of 100.9 The Tide. Like, if they go 8-4, what happens to Kalen DeBoer? I'd probably say he got an extension last year, right? Like, I don't know. The extension would tell you otherwise, but Tuscaloosa, Alabama's expectations would tell you another thing.
I'll hold on Bama. If they drop one stupid game, I'll sell every piece of Alabama stock I have.
They got some stupid games to drop against East Carolina, Kentucky, and Florida State to begin the year, and Mississippi State.
Right, like South Carolina or Vanderbilt. If they drop one of those that they're not supposed to, I'm out.
Yeah, SC could be a tougher game, but Vanderbilt, they still got some good players on Vanderbilt's team. All right, let's talk about Auburn real quick. We talked a lot about Eric Morris. We talked a lot about Bob Chesney in terms of, hey, these are head coaches who had success last year, who brought a lot of their team over to their new Power 5 jobs. Alex Golesh did that too, coming from South Florida over to Auburn. His first year as being the head coach for the Tigers. Had a top 5 offense last year at South Florida. He brought with him his quarterback, Byron Brown, who, if you haven't heard the name, go and look up his highlights. Dude is a machine. Only quarterback last year in the FBS with 3,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards. He brings Brown with him, along with 5 wide receivers, 2 running backs, two running backs, 1 tight end, and a partridge in a pear tree. South Florida was a top 5 offense last year in the FBS. They bring 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 players from that offense to Auburn's offense this year. The defensive coordinator was retained from Alex Golesh to Auburn. DJ Durkin is Auburn's DC. Last year, according to Brett Cianci, his game grader, the Auburn Tigers ranked 14th in defense. They retained Durkin. In doing that, they retained a lot of their starters. 5 starters from last year's defense sticks around for Auburn this year. They were top 5 in run game defense last season. I think Auburn has an opportunity here to do better than people expect. You definitely do get nervous with the idea of, like, all right, non-Power 5 coach coming over. Does he find success right away? You look at their schedule this year: Baylor, Southern Miss, Florida, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, at Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Samford, Alabama. 6.5 is their line. I'm not going to bet, but I'll buy them. I'll buy the success of their offense. It'll be the first time that Auburn has a top 25 offense since 2014 in the FBS.
They won 5 games last year. I think they could win 6 this year. What does that mean?
6.5 total over under win total. We'll talk to Ryan Fowler coming up next year on Middays with Ben on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, don't forget to go to 1620zone.com to win and enter into the following contest. Chris Stapleton in Lincoln for the All-American Roadshow Tour featuring Nikki Lane October 7th at Pinnacle Bank Arena, along with Motionless in White, who's coming to the Metro on Wednesday, November 11th at the CHI Health Center. And Bert Kreischer is back in Omaha this fall, Sunday, December 6th at Mid-America Center. Go to 1620zone.com and enter to potentially win your way into those following contests. We are joined next by the host of the game with Ryan Fowler on Tide 100.9 FM, 1230 AM in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The host of the longest running sports show in Tuscaloosa. Ryan Fowler joins us here on Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone. Ryan, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. As we start college football in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, practice yesterday. It's been the longest off season of my radio career. It's been listen, I don't know if you've ever had Splenda sweet tea. Okay. In the South, we love real sweet tea.
Sure.
Splenda gives you an aftertaste. And that's what Indiana did for Alabama. They gave you an aftertaste for 216 days that we played. Did we just witness the absolute biggest butt kicking? I mean, it hurt our feelings in Tuscaloosa because we're not accustomed to losing like that. You guys know a lot about winning, and it hurt. It hurt. It's been the longest off season. I'm so glad that the football season is here. It's finally arrived, and we got camp to talk about and try to remove that bad taste.
Well, Ryan, you guys had such a fascinating season, in my opinion, because heading into the year, right, playoff or bust, because DeBoer the guy, all that type of narrative, right? You come in, you lose to Florida State. I can't imagine what the post-game show must have been like for you after losing to Mike Norvell and Florida State. And then you come back through the rest of the season, you win 4 straight SEC games against ranked opponents. And nobody's ever done that in the history of the SEC, win 4 straight ranked games against Southeastern Conference teams. You then lose that puzzling game at the end of the year in the regular season to Oklahoma. You have a tough loss against Georgia, right, in the SEC championship game, followed up by a gritty win against Oklahoma in the playoff on the road, 17-point comeback. And then you lose to Indiana, like you mentioned, an absolute butt whooping. How has it been for you, someone who's on the air every day, 2 to 6 p.m. there in Tuscaloosa? How has it been for you balancing the good with the bad when it comes to Alabama football last year? How has that balancing act been between, man, it didn't look the way we're used to, but at the same time, you still had objective success?
All right, so I'll tell you, this is when you take up for about 3 months of the coach. Okay, you're saying, guys, this is the new college football. If you go to the playoffs and you win a game, you check that box as successful. So I spent 3 months trying to convince the audience that yes, that was a successful season. Now, you got to remember, this fan base is a national title or bust every single year. I don't care. And that's the part that I think is a little bit, it's overreaching. You can't have that expectation. I don't care who you are. You can't have the expectation that it's going to win a national title every single year. I mean, it's just not. I mean, this design, really, if you look at it, it was kind of slowing down teams like Alabama.
Yes.
So I told the audience, guys, this is acceptable. This is the new check. If you do this, this is successful. Well, all of a sudden, Kalen DeBoer does an interview, and he says, we didn't reach our goals, that last year was not a success. And after I spent 3 months trying to say it was, well, then all that was like, okay, then I look like a fool because, yeah, and I know you can't say that last year was a success in Tuscaloosa, but to me, yes, you made Florida State loss, but then as you went through the grind of that schedule, going through the difficulties to be able to manage and be able to flip the script and make the playoffs, to me, it was a successful season. But understanding the goals here are different. It's a unique place. And, as credit to Kalen DeBoer has said it multiple times this offseason, That's why you come to a place like Tuscaloosa. Is you come here to win national titles. You don't come here to go to the playoffs and win the first game. And, it's every single one of these players that committed to Alabama came here to win a national title. There was nothing about, hey, let's go do this, let's go do it. And so you have to understand that, too, that they're expecting to win a national title. And, I don't know if this team has got it this year. I'm sure we'll dive into it. I think this team is a playoff team, but I think you could have a repeat of what last year. But if you get there and you manage it, then who knows?
Sure.
And that's what's going to be fun for college football. I've often said if you don't have an allegiance to the game, let's say a team, you don't have an allegiance to a team that you root for, and you just watch it from a spectator standpoint, we are setting up for a dynamic college football season because we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's truly, we don't know what's going to happen. And many years in the past, we knew exactly what we thought was going to happen. And many times it did.
Well, and that's the thing, too. Like you talk about this season, whether or not it was a success. You guys went between the hedges and beat Georgia. That hadn't happened in 33 games. 33 games in a row, Georgia went ahead and beat a team that came and visited them. And Alabama was able to do it. And yet you look back and you go, well, you didn't ultimately get the job done like we expect. Now, before we do, you're right. We'll dive into the team and the nitty gritty. I'm excited to ask you some questions. But from one radio host to another radio host talking about college football and the changing landscape, how do you feel and how has your conversations, and are you sick of having the conversations about money and how much Alabama is spending on their team and spending on their roster? Has that been a consistent conversation you guys have had in Tuscaloosa, and what have those conversations looked like? I'm very curious.
Well, from an NIL perspective, keep in mind, Alabama does not have a billionaire booster.
Yes.
Not one. And some of these programs do, and they're able to build their success with going past the revenue share limits and, this fake NIL that really, I run around the stadium with a business card and that's my endorsement. Some of these kids don't even know what they're endorsing, right? Hey, we're going to give you this NIL deal. Well, what am I endorsing? Well, we'll find out later. Well, okay, but how do we know that's worth? But when I can go and get Patrick Mahomes to do an autograph signing cheaper than I can an offensive guard for Texas Tech, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? That's a problem. So Alabama can compete with normal financial circumstances. But when you start throwing in the Texas Tech, the Texas A&M, the Oregon, the Miami money, I don't think they're in that group. Matter of fact, I know they're not in that group. They're not going to go out. And I don't think from a team chemistry standpoint, I can't imagine going to the portal, spending $4 million on a player or $3 million on a player, bringing him in and disrupting that team chemistry, because all these kids are showing their check stub or their deposit or whatever. Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. And you got to get that jealousy component in there because we're all humans and we have that jealousy component.
Sure.
But Alabama has money, and I don't think it's the level that most people think. Alabama just says, hey, we're kind of a small state, really, if you think about it. It's not a, maybe 4 million, 4.5 million, something like that for Alabama. But it's not a rich, place to throw money to.
Sure.
And especially now because these governments, the Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Libertarian, it's election year. So they're going to tell us everything that we need to hear until we get to November. And then they won't answer our phone call like 2 weeks later. So they're telling us because they know that college football is popular. Hey, look, I'm the politician that's trying to fix college football.
Yeah.
It gets me a few more votes. I don't trust what's happening in Washington, D.C., especially if Cody Campbell is behind it with Ted Cruz. And I like Ted Cruz. I'm a big fan of Ted Cruz. But if Cody Campbell helped draft this, I don't think I'd like to see his design and where he thinks the future of college football is anywhere in this written side of things. I just think it's a chaos to get government involved. But once again, we're desperate enough.
Sure.
We're having to ask Washington, D.C. to get involved.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about the athlete kind of showing off what they have, and you're right. We all would show off what we have. If we were making that amount of money, and funny enough, a guy that you're familiar with, right, formerly being an assistant with Alabama, Mike Loxley, talked about 2 seasons ago how he lost that locker room, and how he lost the guys inside the Maryland's hairpin locker room, in part because of all the different changing landscape of who's making what. So it's a whole other variable to the equation of how do you build a national championship team. It's very well said. Ryan Fowler, the host of The Game with Ryan Fowler on 100.9 and 1230 a.m. The Tide in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the longest running sports show in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. All right, let's get to the nitty gritty. Let's talk about the Crimson Tide. How sick and tired are you talking about the run game?
No, because I think it's fair.
Yeah, it was bad last year. It was 125th in the FBS, and you guys lose 4 offensive linemen. I mean, what is there a saving grace? Is there a silver lining, Ryan?
Well, that all those guys are gone except one. As far as the offensive line, that you take this offensive line, and there was some good pieces. But now keep in mind, everybody's going to point to Caden Proctor and say, "Hey, Caden Proctor was a first-round guy," but he also lost like 40 pounds. Now, he was too big at Alabama. And then the NFL said, "Hey, we need you to play here, and if you can get here, we'll draft you in the first round." Well, what did he do? He went out and lost that weight. He went out and got serious about his body condition. Last year, it was almost like at times he was there. He played the left tackle spot, probably the most reliable offensive line, but there was so much more that he could have been able to give. And I think that's one of the reasons that they removed the offensive line coach and brought in Adrian Clem. So that he's going to be different. But they went out. Here is what's going to make this offensive line, I think, better. And I know you asked me about rushing, and I'll get to that in a second. But the offensive line's got to be there before the running backs are able to be there. This offensive line, they went out and got multiple offensive linemen that can play multiple different positions. So you brought in a Nick Brooks from Texas. Well, he could play the tackle spot. He could play the guard spot. And we can actually play both tackles and both guards. So you got versatility there. They brought in Ethan Fields, who could play both guard spots and possibly even help you out in some other areas too. Javen James, he could play the left tackle. He could play right tackle. He could also play the guard. So what they're trying to do now in camp is just try to settle for the best 5. Yeah. And last year, all the way until the very end, you didn't know which 5 was going to go out there on that offensive line. And so some of that was just that they couldn't find the best 5. Well, what they've done now is they've got 3 guys that are battling at the left guard spot. You got 2 tackles that are battling at the tackles. And if they don't feel comfortable, they can always slide Michael Carroll, which played right tackle last year. He was a freshman All-American, but he was young, made a lot of mistakes.
Sure.
But he was a freshman All-American. They've slid him into guard. They could always bump him out to tackle and then slide those other guys in. So they had to kind of go thrift store shopping and say, okay, well, let me go get a couple of guys that can versatility and let's compete rather than just handing a guy the starting job. And they got some good-looking offensive linemen that fit more of Kalen DeBoer's system. If you look back at UW, Ryan Grubb is the offensive coordinator, but his specialty is offensive line coach. Joe Moore Awards, the last year under Kalen DeBoer at UW, they were the Joe Moore, which is the top offensive line, in the country. Yeah. So they know what a good offensive line looks. But last year it was bad. Going to the running back side of things, Jam Miller has moved on. Daniel Hill, that a lot of people are going to judge the back end of the season. You saw the Georgia play where it looked like a screen and he couldn't get his hands up. Well, some of that was because he had a bad shoulder. And he was in a brace. So, that's the things that nobody knows about. They just think that he was being kind of lazy with his arms, and he really wasn't. He was just trying to stabilize his shoulder to catch the football. Daniel Hill's lost a lot of weight. A.K. Deere was a big 5-star last year that dealt with some personal things. He should be good to go. But then they've added the Mr. Football in the state of Alabama. He was the number 1 running back in the country, and he was a reclassification young man.
Oh,
and if you watch him, he's got everything that you're looking. He's big, he's physical, and he's the fastest running back that they've had, I think, since Kenyon Drake.
Wow.
Jameer Gibbs may be the other one, but he's got a lot of speed. He may be one of the fastest guys on the team, and he's 215, 220. So he's kind of going to give you something that Alabama's not had in a few years at that running back spot. So they've been a little bit down. And see, some of this is not Kalen DeBoer's fault. It was Nick Saban's fault for the back end of that recruiting. because he had got to the point where he was losing so many quality assistant coaches that his recruiting had dropped off in evaluation. You say, well, hold on, he still signed the number 1 class. He still signed the number 3 class. A lot of that's the Bama bump because they would offer a kid. And he would always get bumped up. Oh, hey, look, Nick Saban offered him. We better rank him a different ranking. We're going to give him a 4-star instead of a 3-star. And they missed on a bunch of kids. I mean, a bunch of guys in that last couple of years of Nick Saban, just simply because of recruiting mistakes. So some of this was kind of, hey, Kalen DeBoer comes in, he's got to play with the toys that he's got, and he has to come up with a game plan. And certainly the portal supplemented some of that. But I think this running back room is going to be better. I don't know how much better, because they're always going to be a pass, happy team. I mean, they're always going to throw the football around. But I think it's balanced just a little bit. Can give you a little, keep the defense honest somewhat.
Yeah, 5-star EJ Crowell is who you were referring to from Jackson, Alabama. 300 yards in that in their state title game there. I really like your wide receivers, Ryan. Obviously you got Ryan Coleman Williams along with Brooks. I will say, man, I love Jeremy Bernard. I thought that was such a good pickup for Pittsburgh. I think he's going to make a pretty big impact very quickly on Sundays for the Steelers. But let's go ahead and talk about the burning question. Austin Mack or Keelan Russell? Who do you think has the inside track right now to win the quarterback spot for Alabama? Both these guys, very different quarterbacks.
They are, and I think that also goes back to that offensive line. If they feel like that offensive line is stable, then Austin Mack may have a better chance. But the problem with that offensive line, if they have to move the quarterback, Keelan Russell's that guy that can make a lot of people miss. He's out of Duncanville, Texas. He won 2 state championships, played for a third, got beat in the final few minutes and he would have won 3 state championships in the highest classification in Texas. So he is no doubt the ceiling for him, and he's going into his second season here, redshirt last year. So he is a guy that can really spin the football, and he's got things that, as Ryan Williams told me, Ryan Coleman Williams at SEC Media Days, he said he's got the it factor. He's got the it factor. Austin Mack knows this playbook because this will be the 4th season that he will be under Kalen DeBoer. I think it's truly a competition. I don't buy this as they already know. I don't think the coaching staff knows who's going to be the quarterback. I think, because it's that tight. And I think this is something that's going to be unusual about college football. I don't think this is going to be the norm. I think and who knows, because Kalen DeBoer is attracting big-time quarterbacks. He's already signed, as you guys know, Jet Tamala from last year. And by the way, Jet is really taking big steps in this offense. And just from where he was at the spring to where he's at now, you can see this DeBoer system. You understand why these quarterbacks want to come and play. He's already signed the number 1 and number 5 or 7 quarterback for next year. So he signed, he's got committed Elijah Haven and then Trent Seaborn for next year. So this quarterback room, it may be what Kalen DeBoer does. Go out and get quarterbacks and then try to, put pieces around it. I think it's truly a quarterback competition. And I think they said that they wanted to know something coming out of the second scrimmage and so that's several weeks away. I think it's a true competition. I think this thing could go either way. If you asked me to bet your money, you gave me $1,000 and says, hey, put it on one of these guys. I'd probably put your money, not my money, because I wouldn't put my money up because I think it's that close. But Keelan Russell would probably be the guy that I would bet.
Yeah.
But I don't feel comfortable with that prediction. I think it's truly a competition.
Yeah, it's so interesting, Ryan, because there are people who aren't in the weeds in terms of that team like you are, who are very, very confident it's Keelan's job to win. And I'll take your money over anybody else's money in terms of how they're actually feeling over there. So spot on. We appreciate, too, the update on Jet. That's incredible to hear. Rooting for the young man who played at Millard South here in Omaha last year. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the defensive end just very quickly. Losing a lot of pieces on the front 7. Just very quickly here before we let you go, is that the biggest concern you think you have on the team right now, or do you still think it might reside somewhere else?
Well, the biggest concern is definitely on the offensive side of the football. But defensively, the front 7 is going to be solid. That defensive line is going to be a big rotation group. I counted like 8, 9 guys that I think that can play on that defensive front. I just think, what's the name? Devon Thumpkins, and then Terrence Green that transferred in from Oregon to Alabama. Watch him. He's going to add you some bulk and some big size to this defensive front. They got Caleb Woodson's going to be your kind of leader over there. He transferred in Virginia Tech. He's going to be a guy. The other opposite linebacker is going to be one that's going to be a real big battle. It could be QB Reese is kind of the name that you hear more of. They've got plenty of edges. They're going to be good at Yanzi Pierre. Justin Hill is going to be fine. Xavier Griffin's going to be able to provide some edge play there. The secondary, I would argue with Notre Dame. That it's the best secondary in the country.
I agree.
I understand that a lot of people, but it's deep.
Yes.
The problem that this secondary is, you could take the second rotation, and I think you can compete with a lot of teams in the SEC. They've got a lot of guys. I mean, it is like when you go to that defensive back room, and I think this is one of the questions the last couple of days was, how do you get all those guys on the field? Well, that's not my problem. That's the secondary's coach, because it is. I mean, you've got a lot of dudes in that secondary. So that room is deep. Honor special teams, that's another battle.
Okay.
Keep an eye on that. But Alabama's got a lot of competition, and I think this is probably the new college football. As you open up camp, you got 7 or 8 really heated competition battles at certain positions.
Well, you got Dijon Lee, SEC All-Freshman at one corner spot. You got a great nickname in Mr. Pick Six, Xavion Brown, who's at the other corner. And then you got All-American Bray Hubbard. And then it'll be Sab, right? Right next to him. Is that kind of the projection? And then you mentioned it, right? Jordan Edmonds, Xavier Mincy, and then along with Jareer Edwards, all 5-stars who are in that defensive back room.
Right.
So,
Brad Morgan, Dre Kirkpatrick. They've got a couple transfers coming in that room is deep. But what he did is he built that to defend his offense, because he knows what it takes to slow down those passing attacks. And that's where, and if you look at those the corners, they're taller corners than what you would typically see. So 6'3", 6'4". I mean, they're big corners, and that's where, it's once again, it goes up against his offense, because he loves to use the tight ends, and the tight end room is going to be deep too. Listen, Alabama could be a sleeper team. I know that's kind of funny saying Alabama, but Alabama could be one of those teams that could do some damage if they find some confidence early.
Well, I love you pointing out Devon Tompkins, the USC transfer, and Terrence Green, the Oregon transfer. 2 guys we'll look out for to hopefully plug some holes in that front 7. Ryan Fowler of 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. The Tide in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The Game with Ryan Fowler, the longest running sports talk show in Tuscaloosa. Ryan, this was incredible, my man. You were so generous with your time and awesome with your details. Appreciate you so much, my friend.
Hey, appreciate you guys, and thank you again for the opportunity.
Of course. Ryan Fowler of 100.9, 12:30 a.m. The Tide. Let's take a break. KETV's Andy Kendeigh joins us next year on Middays with Matt.
Family Man Josh Hodson, Family Man Matt Mc... You're kidding me, right? They want me to read this? Okay. Family Man Josh Hodson, Family Man Matt McMahon. I'm sorry, there's just no way I'm going to get through this. You're listening to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
We bring on Andy Kendeigh of KETV. We have limited time because a more efficient host would have properly spaced out his interviews, but it is what it is. So, AK, you have an option here. Would you like to talk about a certain fall camp going on, or would you like a question about the Jetsons?
Jetsons, please, for 100.
Okay. What the hell is it? Is it like the I don't know what the Jetsons are.
Whoa.
I've never seen them before. I found out today that Jim Carrey is doing a live action version of the Jetsons. Is it just the Flintstones in space? That's the vibe I get.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Flintstone, except Dino is a robot.
Did you like the Jetsons? When did was the Jetsons in your childhood? Was it in your adulthood? When did it occur for you?
Well, the Jetsons were in like syndicated reruns when I was like a grade schooler. So that's probably late 60s, early 70s, late 60s. Yeah. Flintstones in that same realm. That was kind of the wheelhouse. Yeah, the Jetsons were the space age Flintstones. That's a good way of putting it.
Were you more of a Flintstones man than a Jetsons man?
Yeah, I was more of a Flintstone guy. Yeah, because I could relate to them a little better, right? I was more Fred and Bam Bam and, Wilma, Betty.
Is that do you think that the 60s and 70s cartoons, they just completely outdo what we have in today's age?
Dominate. Yeah. Now remember though, back in the day, you only had like 4 options to watch and 3 of them were soap operas in the afternoon. So you're going to gravitate towards the cartoons. So like I got home, Wheelhouse was like Hanna-Barbera and, like Dancing Abe. I mean, there is really like some weird stuff going on there. Whoever was in those meeting rooms had to be on some kind of, let's say, extracurriculars to help them out, get through those storylines.
So we talked about Happy Days before.
Oh my God.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So that's that. Did you, well, no, I wasn't going to ask you anything. We've already done the Happy Days thing. I was trying to go more of the cartoon route in terms of, is there any other outside the Jetsons or the Flintstones in terms of 60s, 70s cartoons you want to give more love, or was that it?
Oh my God, there was a whole bunch of them.
Give them to me.
And and there was like the Super Friends were up there too. I mean, don't forget about those guys. The Hall of Justice or Legion of Justice or whatever. That was. I mean, you can go on and on. And there was Baby Huey was one of those. I mean, you can go. There were some classic cartoons back in the day. It wasn't just Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and all that stuff. There's some. There's some great stuff there. And you got to, if you want a deep dive, go YouTube that stuff.
I will.
They're still on there.
I will. Now do.
And remarkably, a lot of it's inappropriate. Like some of the stuff they would say, you're like, oh, you couldn't do that.
Yeah. There's even some Tom and Jerry stuff, Mr. Kendeigh.
Tom and Jerry, Bugs Bunny, a lot of that stuff was the Road Runner was, it was. Yeah, some of that stuff was like, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. No.
Talking about things that are getting rebooted, I found recently on Twitter that they are doing a remake of Flash Gordon. I know that's now into the 80s, but would that interest you at all? Or is there anything from the 70s or 80s that you would like to have be remade? Or has everything already been done for you?
Flash Gordon doesn't do anything for me.
Wow.
And the theme song, the Queen did that theme song for that movie back in the day. If you want to look that up, Freddie Mercury with the Flash Gordon, Savior of the Universe. You know what? Here's one for you. It's totally kind of pivoting. But there was a show called The White Shadow.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember this show. It was one of my favorites growing up. And it was Ken Howard was a white former Chicago Bull basketball player who blew his knee out and goes into the inner city of LA and because he was buddies with the principal and gets a job as the basketball coach at Carver High School. And he had to mold these guys into winning basketball players on and off the court. Now that's something I would watch. How about that?
I'm reading it now. This is wildly fascinating. It was only on CBS television for 3 years.
terrific.
It did not get, this is what it wrote. Although The White Shadow is not a big ratings hit, it drew praise from critics and helped pave the way for later realistic dramas such as Hill Street Blues and My So-Called Life.
Yeah, they dealt with a lot of stuff that was back then cutting edge.
Sure.
Like stuff off the court, like teenage pregnancy and what have you. It wasn't all basketball and all that stuff and like getting guys through school in terms of grades and trouble at home and, all that stuff. But I mean, I could still rip off, part of that starting five. Coolidge was the big man who it was the first time I ever saw a big man pass the ball off the backboard. He gets the rebound and stuffs it home. Thorpe was on a salami. I mean, Haywood. There were some good guys on this team, and I'm not looking. I am driving right now, boys. This is all from inside the noggin. I haven't thought of this stuff in years.
All right, talk about a reboot. What if we redid Hoop Dreams? How would you help sponsor that?
Yeah, but we kind of have those now because that was like one of the early reality TV shows following these two middle school kids into high school into their recruiting process, and one of them played at Marquette, and the other one, the other guy did.
No, Arthur burned out. I
really
believe. I'm pretty sure Arthur didn't make it. Yeah, that was tough.
That was actually unique at the time because it was such a long form and long shoot because it was real. It was real life, and that was one of the first kind of reality turned entertainment projects that Hoop Dreams was. But I'm all for. It's like it was almost a documentary, Oh,
a 1,000,000% was a documentary.
Yeah, so I thought it was. I loved the Hoop Dreams. Yeah, that was right up my alley. But we have so many of those now. I don't know if you need to do that.
Do you? Okay, this is stemming because my father, right, has his name's Mike McMaster. And Mike McMaster has his movies, right? We call them Mike McMaster classics, right? Wimbledon with Paul Bettany is there. The Hoop Dreams would be considered a Mike McMaster classic. Star Trek, the new one with Chris Pine, that's a Mike McMaster classic. About a bunch of niche movies that you may not know. Annapolis, Annapolis with James Franco and Tyrese. That's like a boxing movie that he always watches, if you've ever heard of it. If we were to ask your children, what is an Andy Kendeigh classic? What is a niche movie that AK or a TV show that you always had on that your children would immediately relate to you? What do you think that would be?
Oh, well, I mean, my go-tos were but these are very popular, like the Fletch of the world, Fletch, Caddyshack, all these things.
Sure.
I sat my kids down and had them watch Fletch a couple months ago, and they're like, "Dad, you say this stuff all the time." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not original. This is where I rip it off from. It's these movie lines, right?"
Yeah.
So, but one of my all-time favorites, which it's one of those movies you can't zip when you're flipping because it's on all the time. There's two of them really. Back to the Future, which my kids love. Back to the Future, one of the greatest movies ever made. And I loved Ocean's 11, the original. Well, not the original, but the remake of the original with Brad Pitt and Clooney and those guys. And bringing this all full circle, if you remember, there's a scene where they blow up one of the old casinos, and he says, or when they're talking about blowing up one of the casinos or making an explosion, the guy says Barney Rubble, as in trouble. So Barney Rubble, Flintstones, here we go. We've gone full circle with this conversation.
It is all full circle. Why do you strike me as a man who would love Beverly Hills Cop? Am I getting that wrong?
Oh my God. No, you hit it right on the head.
I feel like you'd love that movie.
Yeah, not going to fall for no banana in the tailpipe. I can't tell you how many times. There's a buddy of mine who just called me yesterday who left me a voicemail and said, "Is this the man who wrecked the buffet at the Harold Club? You must be the pride of your department." Yes. So we quote lines from Beverly Hills Cop all the time. Actually, some of the movies don't hold up. Like, I was surprised at how Animal House didn't hold up.
Sure.
Just because at that time it was so cutting edge and we hadn't seen that type of over-the-top humor before back then. So it really, really, people went nuts over it. And now that's kind of like, my kids were like, "Yeah, Dad, it was good, but wait."
Yeah.
But my kids watched Beverly Hills Cop and they laughed out loud. They thought it was great.
Did you show your kids Old School?
Yeah. We just talked about that the other day because Total Eclipse of the Heart came out. That open mic.
That's a good one.
That was so good. Yeah, old school. Because in fact, my wife and I were chatting about it because I started. My wife got through about half of the first episode, but I powered through that new series Hawk.
Yeah, with Will Ferrell. I hear it's terrible.
Yeah, it's not his best work. I thought it was okay. We're having a discussion because I tried to talk Shamron into watching. He said he got through about 3/4 of the first episode, or maybe an episode and a half. He gave up. Randy's actually kind of plowing through it because.
Oh wow!
So,
really? He's rolling up his sleeves to that one.
Yeah. He was like, it's stupid, but mindless fun. It's dumb. It's Will Ferrell at times in that is a bad guy, and or perceived bad guy. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
Now, would I rewatch it again? Absolutely not.
Sure.
Never.
Andy Kendeigh of KETV. We always love this interview. This is one of our favorites when we don't talk about anything local sports. This is always
awesome.
This always hits the mark. Of course.
I think everybody has heard about the running back battle and the Anthony Calandria. Let's spice things up with.
Yeah.
And by the way, they do have a Fonzie statue in Milwaukee where he strikes the pose. The bronze. They call it the Bronze Fonz. It's in Milwaukee.
Good to know. AK, we will see you later, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks.
See you. Andy Kendeigh of KETV. Hit a break. What to watch and Dog of the Day coming up next.
arbitrary.
Middays with Matt. Middays with Matt.
J.O., what are we watching?
We are watching baseball right now. The Cubs are playing the Toronto Blue Jays.
I've watched so much Cubs baseball this week. I love it.
But we start with the National Football League.
Yes!
Technically.
Yes!
The Hall of Fame game. It's the Cardinals and the Panthers, the neck versus the glove. 7 o'clock on NBC from Canton, Ohio. Pirates, Brewers on MLB Network right now. Tigers, Mariners at 4. Those two want to fight each other. Then it's the Royals. They host the Twins at 6:30 on ESPN. Does that get blacked out here? I think it probably does.
Who cares?
WNBA on Prime. Vegas, Indiana at 6. Sparks, Lynx at 8. Little League Softball World Series, North Carolina beating Florida 2-1 in the 5th on ESPN. Winner advances to the Bracket 1 championship game. And then at 5 o'clock on ESPN, it's Puerto Rico against Kentucky. Winner advances to the Bracket 2 championship.
I've been waiting all day for Thursday night. The tough.
All right, so let's talk right now. I'm going to kill your bookmaker. I'm going to rip his throat out. I will blow this man out. I will step on his throat until the man chokes.
Hey, Jack, it's a fact.
Winners. I'm on a roll.
Dude, you got to love dogs, right?
Beck and the Cardinals are all ready to get down. We like some football. You like it too. I'm going to bet the under tonight. Plus 104 at 33.5. Hall of Fame game. That was terrible.
I know you're right, but man, betting unders is no fun.
No, I'm going to have so much. Listen, people, unders are the vegetables of gambling, okay?
True.
You don't like betting them. They're not a ton of fun, but they're effective, okay? And they get the job on. Eat your vegetables, bet your unders, okay? That's what I say. Right? If you take away anything from whatever I say in Middays with Matt for the time I am here, take that. Eat your veggies, bet your unders. 33.5 plus 104 Hall of Fame game. Am I betting the Hall of Fame game tonight? You bet your ass I am. I'm a madman. USC and the crossover are also madmen. They're coming up next here on the 1620 Zone Radio Network.